It's time for something different. Hi, gang. We're in the Just Chatting category. And, we're here to look at Pokemon.
No, I'm here to ruin people's childhood.
Yes. Or, I was about to say, or sort of like teenage years, but then I remembered that people probably are, there are some people out there who are probably younger than, hi.
Oh, we're very full of food.
Yes, we're both very full. Very full of good food. As a treat. Hi, guys!
Is there any Pokemon from Gen 3 that people are really hoping I don't say are trash? Are there any like fan favourites from Gen 3?
Probably, I know a lot, out of the starters, I think Blaziken's the most popular. I think Rayquaza is very popular in the community. I think loads of people like Rayquaza, very popular legendary Pokemon. What else from Gen 3? I know which ones I like, but are they community favourites? I feel like the community likes Absol reasonably. I like Absol a lot.
Ugh.
Tario is the best Pokemon, and nothing can change my mind on that. Oh boy, this is gonna be an adventure. Well, we're only doing Gen 3 tonight. Well, depending on how fast we go. Yvettel also. Do you guys not know your generations?
I mean, I don't, so I get a pass.
Yes, but anybody who hasn't been here before, which may be a couple of you actually at this point, a very rare occurrence, the stars align of Culls isn't available but Spook is, which doesn't happen very often, is that I get Spook to come on stream, and we've done it twice now, where we get the old man to go through the Pokemon generations, and he casts judgment upon them. And Spook is infamously a Gen 1 person. Gen 1 he claims is the best generation, OG is his favourite, everything else is lacking. He did play through Gen 2, and he did play through a little bit of Gen 3 as well, and anything beyond that is completely foreign to him, considering that we're on, Gen 9 now? That's quite a lot. It's quite a lot that he isn't aware that exists. I, of course, being a Pokemon fan who plays through pretty much every Pokemon game. So Spook has been going... When we have these very rare occurrences, I think the last one was literally like last year, actually. I feel like it's been a long time since we've had this. But yeah, Spook basically is giving them a pass, tweak, fail is the pass, change, trash is his grading system that he has, which is basically, does he think it is good and can stay in the franchise? Does he think that it needs changing and could stay in the franchise? And trash, of course, is delete it. It does not exist. It should not exist.
And unfair that in this gen, Trico Evo is the only one that doesn't get another type.
Yes, I would agree, actually. I would agree. It should be all or nothing.
I disagree.
Okay, well we'll get to that in a bit, I guess, because it's literally it's going to be the third one. So okay, some of these go very quickly. Some of them take a while. And yeah, also I am working on some stuff in the background. It's a commission that I, for various reasons, can't stream, so you won't see it on screen. But I'm working. I'm doing work. So we've got Bulbapedia up on screen, and I'm researcher. I am the person who will be fact checking and looking things up when Spook wants to know more, because I know a bit more about Pokemon than he does. So I've got Bulbapedia open for us to peruse. What about our first registry? We'll get to them! God, you're impatient. Okay. Right. Trico.
Sorry, I'm just. I was looking at some stuff.
You're looking at a type chart.
Yes.
Oh, is there a type chart? Oh,
I made a type chart in spreadsheet.
Why? Because that's something you felt didn't exist in the Pokemon community. A type chart.
I felt better about it when I've made it.
That's fair. Okay.
Just
It's because spreadsheet stuff.
Yeah, but we are using Austin Johns for this one because it's got pictures for me, so I can see what it looks like.
Yes, Austin John Plays has made a spreadsheet in Google Docs, so immediately Spook was like, "Oh, hello."
Oh hell yeah! I love this old man yells at Pokemon.
Yeah, it's the best. It's the best. Yeah, Austin John Plays, great guy on YouTube if you want Pokemon content. They've done a lot of Legend of Zelda content at the moment because obviously there's not a lot of this stuff happening in the Pokemon franchise. But they made a living home dex spreadsheet that people can use, which obviously they use to track which Pokemon you do and don't have, but very handily for us. It has images on it, so Spook can literally go through one by one and see the images of the Pokemon. And he has doctored it so that he has his patch, change, trash ranking on them. And he's also put in a little comments bar on the side so that he can add comments. So things that have been established in the past is Spook apparently not a fan of evolution stones as a mechanic. So all of the evolutions, evolutions, get a big old change in that he thinks that their evolution method should change. History shows that Spook is 50-50 on new forms, honestly.
Yeah, some of them pique my interest, and some of them are just like
you were quite
cop-out bullshit.
You hate it. I mean, I can see them on screen. You didn't like Alolan Diglett and Digtrio. You didn't like Alolan Meowth. You did like Alolan Sandshrew, who was the little igloo.
Yes, I thought that was good. I thought that was a good one.
So we've had a mix. I was instinctually just like, oh, he doesn't like them, but there's a few that have actually been given a bit of an okay.
Changed to Poliwrath and Poliwhirl because they're a bit bland, but I'm not that biased because even my favourites I did mark with a yellow.
Yeah, these being subjective.
Ghastly, Haunter, and Gengar. Put a little change in there because I felt that they could work as standalone Pokemon as opposed to an evolution line. Controversial.
Instead of an evolutionary chain.
I agree. It's frustrating when you want a certain Eevee but don't know how to get the stone. Yeah, I just found them to be a bit kind of unnatural, basically. Of like, you know, if you want to go for an electric type Pokemon, it's like, well, there's these electric stones that are out in the world that kind of aren't in the games but are in the anime whenever we want them to be. And if you find a shard of them and sort of rub it up against them, they change. And I'm like, it's a bit too easy.
Yeah.
It's a bit too...
Because I explained a mechanic to you that got introduced later on, which there were areas that you could go to, which they kind of did with Leafeon and Glaceon as well, which was rather than having an evolutionary stone, you could take them to an area, and if you leveled them up there, then they would evolve, which technically makes more sense for Eevee. It makes more sense for Eevee's Pokedex as well, because Eevee's Pokedex literally says that it basically rapidly evolves to match its environment, which that is the case. So yeah.
Who do you think out of a quick catch up is a controversial trash that I've put in that you think people will be like, what?
Let's see. I mean, you put trash on the different variants of the legendary birds. But again, everybody has mixed feelings on regional variants.
My only reason for that was because when I look at the legendaries, to me, the reason that makes them legendary is that there is only one of them. So I don't know how you can have a regional variant of a one of a kind.
There's a few as well things that happen in this is that Spook has opinions, which are sometimes directly disproven by the games, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Spook accepts it.
No. There are some things that I just will flat out not accept. Like, they don't have a gender assigned with them, so that means they do not reproduce. So are they some sort of dying breed of old Pokemon? And if so, how have they not died out because they're not that powerful? It's one or the other. It's one or the other. You cannot have the perfect utopian both. If there is just one Articuno, then that's it. And as you said last time, of Articuno, the alternate version, and it's not Arctic. So it's like, well, you've fucked up there.
For me, it was the change of they should have had different types.
It should just be its own different Pokemon. I mean, they look cool. Why not just have 3 more legendary birds? Why not?
Used to say.
I'm not. I wouldn't be against that.
Bacteria don't have a gender, but they still come back. Not quite the same, V, but I do understand what you're saying.
Politicians don't have a soul, but they still wear shoes. I mean, what's that? What's the difference to that?
I mean, honestly, there's plenty of, we could be here forever about this. Like, to assign, as much as we go like queen bee, to assign a bee, male and female, is actually very stupid and redundant because that's not how bees work.
There's a fourth category.
Oh yeah, I guess. Spook made the I guess category.
It's just
for Pichu and Cleffa.
For baby ones, because it's just like, I mean, like, I don't have anything overtly where I'm like, this is stupid and shouldn't belong. I'm just like, I guess if you want to have them, why not? It's a baby Pikachu. If you want a cuter Pikachu, sure.
Yeah.
They don't really add much to the game, but whatever, I guess it fits in with that perfectly. Any more controversial ones? Slowking, gone, axed. Wobbuffet, gone, axed.
Yep. Delete Wobbuffet.
There's variants. I don't really count variant. Delibird.
I mean, Delibird is not a big loss.
Delibird scares me because I feel like that sack is organically part of it, which makes it worse.
Yes, because it is, and it is. They're meant to be a bundle of tail feathers, essentially. I like that. I think I got you to change your mind on Remoraid. I think you were going to get rid of Remoraid, and then I explained to you about the little archer fish that it was based off of.
Oh yeah.
Remoraid.
So I said change it, but make it standalone and not part of Octillery because that's like, what was it? We made a gun Pokemon. Like, why? And why did you then not name a game after it? You had Sword and Shield. Where was the gun? Pokemon Flintlock.
This is a joke which will help with us later. I want a Pokemon that comes back with mitosis. Weirdly enough, they did make a cell Pokemon, but I don't think they actually made it gender neutral, which was a bizarre choice. It's like, you literally had a Pokemon that you could have reasonably gone, it's genderless, but it can reproduce.
These my kind of person. 60% of these you don't know by name. Yeah.
Yep.
Load up, if you want to follow along, load up a Pokedex from, what is it, Cerebi? Cerebi.net?
Cerebi, yeah.
Cerebi.net, yeah. Go onto there and you can follow along with the Pokedex and then you can see, based on how I look at them, whether I think they're shit or not.
Yeah,
so,
I'm on Bulbapedia here just because...
there you go, there's another one.
Yeah, Bulbapedia will link to the wiki pages so that I can look up additional info if needed. Generally, down at the very bottom in the trivia is when you get things like, it's based off a gecko, blah, 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 blah. So,
I can use your screen as well as a bit of help. So, we were just talking about, it's bullshit how the Trico line is the only one that doesn't get a second type.
Doesn't get a dual typing.
Right. Here's the thing. I think dual typing is overrated.
Yeah.
Because while you open yourself up to having more moves, you are no longer specialising yourself down one particular path. So you also open yourself up to more weaknesses.
Okay.
So water and ground is a cool one, but fire and fighting I feel like, don't know how much that adds.
Glad you've latched on to one of the most common complaints in the Pokemon franchise, which is the firefighting combo for the fire starter. Because guess what? We get that combo, what is it? 4 times, guys?
That's just overkill.
Yeah, literally, like, we had we're firefighting in Gen 3. I believe we get it again in Gen 4, and people go, okay. We get it a 3rd time, and people go, okay, now please stop.
Way ahead of myself now.
Yeah, but we're getting, again, we don't want to look forward. Today is Gen 3.
This is just the main thing for me with Pokemon as a whole. I think this is the reason why it got dry for me, was just, it's the same, literally the same game over and over, and there's only so many times I can play it. Like, the formula is the same. You start off with a very low level Pokemon, it's either grass, fire, or water. You go through, you do the 8 badges, you have a dickhead rival, or an overly attached rival of some description that you fight periodically. And that's the game. It's the same every time. They've never broken the mold, and it just gets stale. Why is the starter 3 always the same types?
I think I've said before on stream, I think it would be interesting to almost invert the type order, because in almost every Pokemon game, admittedly in the last one they went more open world, so it wasn't necessarily as true, but there was still level discrepancy, so you couldn't go into the Ice Mountain and immediately capture an Ice Pokemon at level 10, because they were all level 60 in that zone. I think it would be a fun game to flip that round, because ice types, dragon types, things like that, they tend to always appear at the end of the game. So I think it could be fun to have types like that at the start of the game, with different starters, just so that you get to see these interesting and, in theory, stronger types earlier on.
Well, from a gameplay perspective, yeah, but that literally just means swapping all of the types around, because the only reason why these types are so powerful is because A, they get better stats because they're, the dragon types and whatnot, but B is because all the Pokemon types kind of fall into their own little circles, don't they, of who they interact with. So if you put the dragons and the ices and the psychics and stuff at the start, you then need to put their counters there as well in order for your Pokemon to be decent against them. I don't know if you necessarily have to go so extreme, but you could mix them up a bit of having rock, flying, electric.
If Grovyle continued along its agile path evolution, it could have been a grass flying tier 3. Now I want constricting Pokemon with Pokemon fire and ice as a type. It would spice it up more. Yeah, I think there's more. If we were going to keep type combos, I think there's more interesting type combos that they haven't tried.
I think it could have been good to make, like grass normal. I feel like throwing in normal as a type can be useful.
Yeah.
But
it'd be fun if there's a large pool of starters. It randomizes every time you start a new game. What if the starters were Dark, Fairy, Ghost? Yeah, I mean those make a triangle. Again, you're giving them all passes.
It's very cool. Yeah, I'm giving all the starters passes. The only ones that I will point to, like weirdly enough, I actually think the Trico line is probably the best.
You like the Trico?
Overall,
okay,
it's consistent.
Okay.
The Torchic one, I'm a little bit dubious on the middle one. But I think that's just because it's like a teenager kind of. Yeah. Looks a little awkward.
Yeah,
Blaziken looks sick as fuck.
Yeah. So it's also very interesting when you go again. It's Pokemon Kids game. What's it based off of? Cockfighting. It's a chicken. That's why it's fighting type. That's what it's based off. It's based off Japanese fighting roosters. That's why it's part fighting type. If anything, it's a shame because the fact that Sceptile doesn't have a dual type speaks to the fact that it doesn't have much else going on with it.
I'm more of a fan of solo types anyway. I mean, like back in Gen 1, your fucking tryharders going for Charizard, that was the only one that was dual type. No, wait, because Venusaur was poison.
It was poison, yeah. So you're incorrect there.
I forgot about that.
But yeah, I think a lot of people did.
Yeah.
But it made it weak to Psychic, which was not helpful.
Meganium was solo, Typhlosion
Gen
was
2,
solo.
yeah, Gen 2s were all solos.
Yeah, I don't know, I just feel like it's more starter friendly. But anyway, getting off track.
Now let me stop you right there before we get even further, my guy.
What?
Mega evolutions
That's
for
a Christmas tree.
For all the starters. I think this is gonna get so silly so quickly. Okay. So you know how it's based off, it's a Sceptile, it's based off a gecko. Do you know that geckos, when they are threatened, can detach their tails as a defense mechanism?
Okay.
That little Christmas tree bit, it can shoot. Which is why the perspective of this view is from the back, because when it's in a fight, it stands with its tail facing its enemy, so that it can go and it shoots.
Why does it have a load of balls down its back?
They're seeds, because it's a plant.
Next. I mean, these are Mega Evolutions. I'm against Mega Evolutions in general.
So...
That's just fan art.
It's just Blaziken, but more.
It's just fan art.
Ooh. Look at this was my favourite.
I like Swampert.
This was my favourite. Swampert, time to beef up his attack stat.
Oh my god, what? Swalpert. See, right, I've said this in a previous one. Right? If you are in favour of using Mega Evolutions, then you are part of Team Rocket. There is no grey area in this. Team Rocket, from the very first game, have been saying that they are going to find whatever means possible to make Pokemon stronger than they should be via external sources rather than training. That is this. That is exactly what this is, and you can't tell me otherwise because you even told me that it was canon with the lore that it's harmful to the Pokemon in some way.
It is generally canon, yeah. That because the Mega Evolutions get unique Pokedex entries, a lot of the Pokedex entries for the Mega Evolutions explain that it's actually quite painful for Pokemon to Mega Evolve.
There you go then, you see? So you are the bad guys if you agree with it. But here's the thing, right?
Okay.
It almost seems to me like the Mega Evolutions was them trying to latch on to the kind of kid mentality that we all had, because we all did it back in 1997 or so, 1998. We all made stage 4 evolutions for our favourite starters, whether it was Venusaur, Charizard, or Blastoise.
Yeah.
We all did it.
If I'm reading this screenshot correctly, this is rocket-powered punches, because that's shooting water out of it. If I'm reading that correctly.
Okay.
Very silly.
But yeah, I did the same. Blastoise. I drew up a really shitty 4th stage evolution called Hydrotoise when I was a kid, because that's what you do.
Yep.
And you think, man, I'm so original. I've done it, and it feels like they just turned that into a game mechanic of we'll just make it temporary. Like, no, temporary evolutions is digivolving. There's a whole franchise to that. It did not do as well because they could not come up with good names for them.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go. I look at it and I just say, why?
Yeah, this was one of the things that they led with, because this was the generation that Mega Evolution got introduced. So as you can see, all the starters got given Mega Evolutions to sort of be like, wow, cool new thing. I was trying to find the Pokedex entries, but I weirdly enough couldn't find them listed on the page. So yeah, I was going to try to read them out. I feel like Mega Blazikens is the most lackluster of the three.
But weird enough, that would be the one that I would latch onto the most.
Mm-hmm.
It's when you make ridiculous, over-the-top changes to the previous one that if I can't see a distinct link between them, it's less like an evolution to me. It's more just, why didn't you just make it its own Pokemon then?
Okay.
Right,
we need to catch up on chat, right?
Alright.
Hot take: remove typing. Most Pokemon designs are now being forced into specific typing, which spoils the theming of Pokemon themselves. It would be obvious that Fire or Ice would do damage to fish or aquatic Pokemon. It's a lot more strategic that way. But Spit, Buff Chunky Boy. I remember Mega Evolution in the anime of Lucario, and Lucario absolutely losing it. Yep, somebody Mega evolves their Lucario in the anime, and because they can't control it, it goes absolutely feral and almost fucking murders Pikachu, and I genuinely mean that. Not in a sort of like, oh, it lost the battle. It was literally beating the crap out of Pikachu.
And at no point did anyone sort of say, maybe we shouldn't do
But they were like, maybe you should call it off, and then it was like, I don't know how to stop it because I'm not an experienced trainer. Yeah, hot take, X and Y was the best season of the anime. Mega Lucario shows pain. Not exactly, if I remember correctly, Mega Evolutions were introduced with X and Y and then became Alpha and Omega got a remake at the same time, so they got the Megas. Yeah, they were the simultaneous release. We've not got to that generation yet. Legitimately, they were freaking out that, oh, this is terrifying. Yeah. Yeah, that's a thing that happened. Let's see if I can find some. It leads to the very infamous clip of Pikachu getting, did Daily Motion. Cool. Great. God damn it. Cool, let's just do this in another window real quick. Alright, carry on. I'm going to try and find this clip. Poochyena! Good boys!
Trash.
No!
No, I'm joking. I actually really liked the first encounter that you get in Gen 3, and it's like a dark type because it really does throw a curveball.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, this isn't just some tanky normal type. This thing knows bite and that's an unpleasant move. I liked Poochyena. I was always quite glad to get a Poochyena.
I love
on the team.
Poochyena.
It was a good one. It didn't so much remind me of a hyena though.
No.
Because it's like dog. I'm guessing it's meant to be dog hyena Pooch.
Yeah,
so,
Poochyena.
but I didn't really get many kind of hyena vibes from it because I picture hyenas as being sort of like scraggy and scavenger.
It
but
has kind of got that scraggly look.
no, as in
to
like skinny and like its legs are it has very thin legs, doesn't it? Like the coyote kind of dog things in sandy areas of the world. So I didn't get the hyena part of it, but I still thought it was cool. I still liked it. Still a sick one. Ziggyzoon.
Zigzoon.
Who likes a Ziggyzoon?
I like a Ziggyzoon.
Right, can you
stop right there, boys? We got a new form on the field.
Yeah, can you? What's going on here?
So
what is this?
Galarian Zigzagoon. It's a badger.
Okay. What was normal Zigzagoon? A raccoon.
A raccoon.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe it's a raccoon.
Okay.
But like a Japanese one.
Right. Isn't that the thing that the thing with the giant nutsack, or is that something else?
That's a tanuki.
Ah.
Based on a raccoon or the Japanese raccoon dog, and the coloration inspired by the Japanese badger.
Okay.
The brown Japanese badger. So it was partially a badger originally as well, apparently.
Badger-kun.
Badger-kun.
Raja. A Raja.
Yeah.
Okay. I see the resemblance. Okay. So what's this one then?
So it's a badger. It is Galarian, so it is British. So
Right.
here in Britain we have badgers. And I think we literally talked about this when we were on a walk before, where from our perspective, it's based off X, whereas in the Pokemon universe, X is based off this, because this came first. It is partially inspired by the heavy metal genre of music. It has the starry-eyed paint around its eyes and the long tongue associated with like Kiss and stuff.
Gene Simmons.
Yeah, because that genre of music is generally, I believe, believed to have originated in the UK.
Okay.
So that is it. You know, that is the tie to Britain and Galar via Galarian Zigzagoon.
Is it a different type?
It's part dark. It's normal and dark.
Okay. I mean, I don't hate it.
Yeah.
It's a bit weird. What about the Linoon?
Again, it's more of just the same, but just applied to Linoon. It's, instead of being brown, it's got the black and white, and it keeps the sort of like face paint vibe. He's got slightly longer, sharper claws, and his longer tongue comes out.
The only thing I would say is that the British Badger is meant to be known for being quite placid and quite shy. So it is a little bit stark contrast that they've gone for, because I know obviously they've gone for the rock element.
Because it's the rock element.
But then they've picked the most placid creature to stick it on. You know what I mean? It'd be like saying, like, you know, we're going to make a loud rock star Pokemon based on an owl.
Yeah.
Like, owls are not really known for being loud. It's just, I'm not against it. It's just, all right.
Luciana is good, but the evolution is disappointing recently. I can see why, but also I do still like it. I guess it's one of those things where because we always just assume that Zigzagoon's a raccoon partially from the name, but as we've just learned, it is somewhat a badger. I guess the devs just kind of went, well, we want to make a badger Pokemon for the British region, and they were like, okay, kind of already have a badger Pokemon, so that's why they were like, well, let's make it a regional variant.
Yeah,
right.
It's okay.
Okay, I'm gonna sequence break.
Alright. What are we sequence breaking?
So regular Zigzagoon goes to regular Linoon. Galarian Zigzagoon goes to Galarian Linoon.
Alright, makes sense.
If you have a Galarian Linoon, there is a third evolution.
Is there a third evolution for normal Linoon?
No, because that evolution did not evolve in that region. It specifically has to be a Galarian Linoon in order to evolve into this other Pokemon. And because there isn't another version of it, it doesn't have a Galarian blank, it's just a new Pokemon, it has a new.
Okay. Not against that. That sounds kind of cool. That's how evolution works.
Yeah. He's called Obstagoon, which is much more going down the punk rocker vibe.
No, it's too far the other way.
Yeah?
Yeah. It looks too human now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get what you're saying of, like, you know, I can get the whole let's do rock stuff face paint that's based on this animal because the animal's cool.
Yeah,
and
he's got this cool spiky hair.
But then you've basically that's just a guy that's wearing the clothes. Like there's basing off of it, and then that essentially in the Pokemon universe, to become a rock star, you basically just become a furry. That is there is no grey area, is it? You know what I mean? Like, they would look at that and they would go, that looks sick. Let's just dress up like that. And that's your rock star. So it's like, well, that's not really like dressing like a punk then, because punks were all about, let's have, you know, rebellious colours and let's do our hair in ways that the grown-ups don't like, and you know, let's wear loads of metal and studs and leather and stuff. But they didn't look at an animal and just go, let's dress like a cow because they have leather on, and then they just walked around as cows. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You've gone too far over the line. There's looking at something and saying, I like that, and I will use elements of it in you know, the way that I dress. But then there's just dressing up like a Pokemon. That's a Pokemaniac. So, nah, okay. I'm afraid no. That's no.
Let me see if
what do you think, chat? Am I justified in that
And if some background information on that, metal, rock, and punk did originate largely in Britain because of the garage bands, I think, in the 80s and 90s, if my memory of music theory serves me correctly. It was the 60s, and it was called garage rock, which inspired metal and punk to a large degree.
Yeah, that makes sense. I remember punk is quite old, but that's why you get things like the young ones with Vivian.
Yeah.
And his mad hairstyles and stuff. Yeah.
There we go. I mean, here's a good comparison because we actually have got this in the Pokemon franchise. So that's Obstagoon, which in the Pokemon franchise, in theory, came first.
Yeah.
And then this is Piers, who is a rocker. Who is, unsurprisingly, a trainer who has an Obstagoon.
And yeah, if you showed them to me, I would not have said they were a rocker. That to me looks more punk.
I guess that's just Pokemon for you. So, I guess that's just Pokemon for you with sort of like blurring the lines between the two.
So it's weird because they've kind of gone the other way then, because they've made the Pokemon look more like the music genre that we know and the way people dress, and then they've gone, we need a Pokemon equivalent where they look kind of like the Pokemon, and we're going to call them rockers, but they don't look like rockers because we've already flipped the formula on its head. Yeah, no, it's too gimmicky. It's too gimmicky. At that point, it's like if you wanted to do just a British Pokemon, it's like, well, let's just give him a moustache and a top hat. And it's like, well, that's just what people look like.
We've already talked about Galarian wheezing.
Yeah, it's too on the nose. It's too there's meant to be like subtlety to it, and it's just too on the nose. I don't like. That's
okay. Oh god, he said he wasn't going to drink, but now he's changed his mind. Oh, okay. I just plugged in my headphones because I realised that they were going a bit flat. Why do I think that Slowbro started all the new Evos? Slowking. I don't know if Slowking was the first one. It's like because the order that they are in the Pokedex isn't the order they were necessarily created in. My first time encountering him was in a gym, which was punk based on him. That dude needs some sunlight. Yep, he sure does. Fitted music and headbanging. Yep, they did. It was their gym was. That is a gym leader, by the way. That guy I showed you, he's a gym leader, and his gym is like a rock concert, basically. But yeah, so.
Bye, Obstagoon.
Bye, Obstagoon. We'll deal with you later when we get to Gen 8.
Wurmple.
Wurmple!
I quite liked Wurmple.
Just a little bug.
Like, they made one bug, but it turns into two. The only annoying thing was when it turned into the wrong one, because as a kid, there was one rule. Cascoons were male and Silcoons were female, because Silcoons had a nice eye and Cascoon looked like a dick. That was the rule when I was 10, and I think that was a rule for a lot of people.
But that's not how it works in the slightest. How it works,
no. Beautifly, it looks beautiful, so it must be a girl. Dustox, that's spawn of Satan, so it must be boy. That's how that worked. And no one in the chat can tell me otherwise, because we all did it.
You're in the wrong chat, I'm going to tell you now.
That is how it worked as a kid.
Gender is fake.
That when you play in Age of Empires, the girls were always on like the meat stuff and the boys were always out in the wood yard. That's just how it was as a kid. And then you grew up and then you didn't care. But that's just what kids were like.
God damn it. So,
anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if they were going to do a branching evolution, this is where I would make a change, and apparently you're not. I feel like the branching evolution should have been the pupa. I feel like we don't need Silcoon and Cascoon. I think we could have had Wurmple goes into a cocoon, and then the cocoon is the bit that splits off.
That's fair.
I feel like we don't. Fair. I feel like we're not. I don't think we benefit from having both Silcoon and Cascoon. I think they could be combined into one.
I'd agree with that.
I think that should be our branching point.
No, you make a good point. I actually prefer that. Yeah. They don't add enough to be separate, so
they're so similar, and they're not gender dimorphic, so that's not adding in. They're not adding in anything there. They're both bug types, even though with Cascoon being slightly pinky purple, Pokemon rules says that should be poison type, but they're not. They're both just bugs. So it's like, well, what is the difference between these two? Actually, kind of nothing.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I don't think that we have gained any benefit by having both of them.
Oh, cause it.
Hi, Car. I would say that the game should actually explain to you what makes the difference. Like, I was confused on how to get one. It was just random. There was no indication. At least with, like, evolving a Tyrogue into a Hitmonlee or a Hitmonchan, it was a statistical difference. If one had higher defense and one had higher attack, that would determine which form you got. It's just random as far as I can establish with Beautify and Dustox.
Right, next.
It gives you an option to bail out if you wind up with the wrong one. It's a bug type. It evolves at level 7.
Yes, that's what it means. It gives you a chance to bail out early. You get to level 7, it's the wrong one, you can get rid of it. You don't have to think, well, I've got this all the way to 25, I'm now committed.
It won't be level 25, it's a bug type.
Yeah, but you might want to keep a beautiful aura Dustox on your team. And if you
It evolves from Silcoon at level 10. I feel like if you get to level 10 and you get to a Beautifly, at that point it's like, do you even want to keep Beautifly on your team, or do you want to have another one?
No, like, you get the Wormpool, and then you evolve it into Silcoon, and you go, oh shit, I wanted a Dustox. Well, you've only put a couple of levels into it, so you can get another Wormpool and try again. If you got it to level 25, and then it evolved into Silcoon, and you went, I wanted a freaking Dustox, now it's going to evolve into the wrong thing. Like, you've put all that time in, that you just say, oh, bollocks to it. That's what he means.
Okay, so maybe we should make the evolution predictable then.
Well, just tie it, like you say, to a stat. I think going with stats is fairly good. Seems simple enough. But anyway, we're moving into game mechanics now, which is not our territory. I'm just mainly looking at the designs and what fits. Lotad and Lombre.
Ludicolo. No, we're not doing Ludicolo. Okay, Lotad. Okay.
Lotad and Lombre, like, Ludicolo is a little bit too over the line for me. I like him, he's funny, but when it's like, could I imagine this thing as being an actual Pokemon? Like, you see that in the wild. That is a Pokemon that has definitely been souped upon something that it shouldn't have been. That is not natural. You can't say that, oh, it just naturally evolved like this. Why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't it change from a bluey, greeny frog thing with a lily pad on its head to wearing a poncho?
Kappa.
Whatever. Literally, its skin is a poncho.
I guess because it's like a duck, they're feathers.
Bollocks.
I don't know what to say.
Poncho-like body hair. Poncho. It's a poncho.
Okay.
It's a poncho.
It seems to be based off the lily pad and the kappa, water dish on its head, although Ludicolo's beak makes it closer to that of a duck or a platypus.
I would have said it's a frog.
Because
just by looking at it, I mean, look at Lombre. That to me looks like a frog.
It's because, as we say here, it's based on Kappa. A Kappa is a yokai from Japanese mythology. Which...
Oh, of course, and all mythology is just, I saw a creature that looked like 4 things, so it must have been one thing. It wasn't that I'm blind.
So Kappas can sometimes be frog-like. They can be lizard-like. They live in ponds. Lombre is a Kappa. It's just a Kappa.
So now I'm on the fence of, do I say trash or change? Does having a 3rd evolution add much to the Lotad Lombre line?
Well, I'm just going to do this because go
Ludicolo into ridiculous.
If you know, you know.
Alright, slight side note, with hearing the Rito Village theme, my mind just went straight back to Jaro's theme, and my mind is just vibing hard as fuck. I don't know any of that. It's these days. We are playing through Pokemon Coliseum at the moment, and when Blue eventually pulls her finger out of her butt, you'll be able to see us.
I had stuff to do, okay?
Show them my laugh. You must show them my laugh now.
No.
It's a funny laugh.
I'm not going to be able to find it.
What do you mean? Why not? You've not uploaded. You've not uploaded that one yet.
Sorry, we were all just vibing to Mirror B's theme.
Mirror Orb.
My Orb.
My Orb, sorry, because it's M-I-R. My Orb.
My Orb. Yeah, there's a bit of nostalgia for people. Mirror B with the Ludicolos!
That's the other thing as well, is that you got Lotad and Lombre, which look very somber, very quiet, they don't look like they do anything, and then they just turn into a fucking coke fiend at stage 3. It's like, what happened? What happened in the evolution where this Lombre just all of a sudden decided, I need to dance forever? Like, why? That is what ecstasy does to you. I have been dancing since before lockdown. That's what that is. Like, just, no, you know what? Just trash. Fuck off.
Oh, poor Ludicolo. I was looking to see if they'd actually put a gif of, like, Mirror B's Ludicolo in here, but they haven't.
Can't justify as to why that thing exists. It's just so random.
This. That's a face.
Depression happened, so it took cocaine. Well, because dancing is fun as fuck.
Yeah, but let's switch back to the chill as fuck Rito music. We interrupt Rito Village for Mirabee's theme.
Right, moving on. Next up in our little line
is the next. They sort of had a duo here. I believe they were version exclusive, or were they not version exclusive? I don't actually remember. Was Cedar and Lotad version exclusives?
Don't know. I feel like I definitely had a Lotad on my team, but it never got too high.
Where's the... Is it going to be down the bottom? Oh no, they were available.
Okay. Couldn't remember if I'd had like a shifter or something. I like C-Dot,
Nuzleaf, and Shiftry.
I quite like them.
Okay. It's another trio that it's interesting. These two go together because this line is based off a yokai, and so is this. Shiftry is partially based off Tengu, I believe. Scroll down to the bottom. Yes, Tengu even says Shiftry's family is a Tengu, Ludicolo's family is a Kappa. Hence the long nose. Again, it's another yokai mythological creature, much like how we have unicorns and dragons. They have yokai and stuff in Japan. Again, they can look like various things. I've seen various different types of Tengu. Sometimes they look like birds. Sometimes they just look like men. Sometimes they're kind of demonic. They quite often have quite long noses / long beaks. They're quite often red, which, funnily enough, explains Shiftry's shiny colour. Reference to Tengu.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's another fun little tidbit for Shiftry. You see that Shiftry's feet kind of look like those sandals that you might sometimes see people in anime wearing.
I never even noticed that.
Yep. So, yeah. Regional bird.
Core has a meme. Apparently.
I have a meme for this. I have a softball for Shiftry. Yeah, they're neat. I'm still largely pissed at both the anime and the games for changes in the names and localization because I grew up watching the German version of both, so I don't know the official names of the Pokemon. Fair enough.
Am I allowed to make German jokes here or not?
No.
Alright, we'll save that for when me and Stanji play our Company of Heroes games. Tailo and Swellow.
Regional birds.
I like them.
They're just birds.
They're just birds. They're just bird variants.
It's just birds.
Wingull and Pelipper, I like them too as well.
Yeah, can't really comment. Pelipper is apparently one of Curls' Pokemon rivals. She hates Pelipper with passion, which was made all the more funny that she got a shiny Pelipper.
Because she's small and she's worried it'll eat her.
No.
Nope. Gone.
She literally hates Pelipper so much that she has a shiny Pelipper and she has condemned it to a life on her game cartridge. Like, she doesn't want to send it forward to another version.
Wow.
I've even said to her, I was like, if I can offer you like an alternate shiny in return, can I have it if you don't want it? And she was like, maybe. Maybe. Otherwise it's in shiny jail.
Core has dropped a meme into the chat.
A meme.
What we got?
Can't be sad if you're dancing. Oh god, I don't know if I should play this on stream because I don't know if this music is going to be safe. So I'll have to leave that.
Go into the Discord and join the memes channel, and you can see the crap that Core posts on an hourly basis. Might as well just put him as the moderator for the memes channel.
Is there music? I don't know. That's why I'm unwilling to pause it. I give you the approval if you want to make one. If my allowance does anything. you may make one German joke. No, don't mention the war. God damn it.
Right, Ralts, Curlier, and Gardevoir.
Ralts, Curlier, and Gardevoir.
They get a pass.
Stop right there, criminal scum.
What have we got now?
She's a princess.
Is that different to normal Gardevoir?
I mean, you can see the picture yourself.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking you. Is that different to normal Gardevoir?
I mean, yeah. Not starkly different, I will say. So she gains the much more of a larger gown, more like in the appearance there. We can actually see her legs for once. her little horn thing that comes from the chest bifurcates, and her crest sort of enlarges. But that is about it. It's generally one of the simpler ones.
Why?
I'm gonna assume to be part of a duo, because in Gen 4, again we're leaping forward a little bit to explain things. In Gen 4, Curlia gains another evolution, which is more male orientated, because obviously Gardevoir is quite heavily female coded, let's be honest. So there is a...
So when I say it, I get shit. When you say it, oh, it's fine.
I'm not saying it's fine,
Well,
it's just how they do
bias.
it. But anyway, so
Well, they're based on ballerinas. Right?
Yeah, ballerinas and princesses, and then the male one becomes more of a knight, so it's a knight and a princess kind of thing.
Can't really see it, but alright. We'll get to that one when we get to that one, I suppose.
Yeah, you don't want to see him?
Oh, go on, show him to me now then.
So, there's his regular form.
What the fuck is that?
That's a Gallade. So that is an evolution on a male Curlia. When exposed to an evolution stone, so again you hate evolution stones, so already a black mark against it. And then that is the Mega Evolution to be more like a knightly prince in shining armour partnered with the princess. I'm going to assume that was their reasoning of the two went together. Mega Gallade is definitely way more different from regular Gallade than regular Gardevoir is to Mega Gardevoir.
Okay.
Those two are very different.
No.
These two are not.
Like, just... No. I'm just... See, it's too... I don't see why you need to make a change. Like, it's okay to have a Pokemon that looks female. It's fine.
Yeah.
You don't need to be like, well, we'll put in the boy equip. Like, it's... Ralts Curlia Gardevoir is a great bit of art design for me.
Yeah.
You can look at it and you can kind of see... You'd sort of look at it and go, oh, without knowing what bloody fairy type is, because that's new. But if you look at it and you were like, what type is this? You'd go, oh, maybe normal, maybe psychic. It looks like that, and you go, yeah, you're about right. Yeah, it's a psychic type. So it's like,
psychic.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it got given fairy type when fairy was added in.
That mate, yeah, sure, I get that.
You can see why.
I can see why. Yeah,
I believe
back in the day when I saw
Nemo's favourite Pokemon.
Weirdly, you know who I actually do the what would you call it, like the opposite to the Ralts line? Abra. I would say Abra and Gardevoir line would go sort of as opposites. You've got a male line because Abra, Kadabra, and Arceus haven't got moustaches.
Yeah, masculine.
So you can see that there's, even though you can get female ones, but you can see that they have a more masculine appearance. And then Gardevoir's got more female. There you go.
They added in gender dimorphism to Arceus, and females get slightly shorter moustaches.
There you go. So those would be the two opposites that I would see, and I think that's kind of cool.
Fair enough.
You know, so I don't think you need to break away from that. Okay, you're going to have to go through this with me, because what is that?
Surskit is a pond skater.
No, I know what Surskit is. I mean, what's that? Masquerain? Is that an evolution?
Yeah, Masquerain does evolve from Surskit. When I played through Ruby and Sapphire, I didn't see it either.
never saw one of them.
I didn't really get the whole thing with Surskit to Masquerain. It was definitely one of those Pokemon evolutions where it's a jarring change.
A little bit. I mean, the colour's different. I will give you that the colour is different.
Like the
face is the same, and it is a bug. So
Yes.
bugs do tend to evolve into slightly more radical things than other things. I don't hate it. I'm just not. I didn't realise that was a match.
Yeah. So
hang on, we've missed out on chat a bit.
Sorry.
Let's have a look. What we got? Read us back. Run it back, bloke. Hourly, maybe daily. Bollocks, Croy. You post memes quite a lot.
One Gardevoir is wearing a casual dress, the other is wearing a wedding dress. That's how I would describe it. Yeah, that's fair. Gallade's hips don't lie, that is true. Gallade has some colossal hips for some reason. Want to show him the new version? I assume you mean the Mega Evolution that I just showed him. The one Pokemon I hated to fight, Masquerain. I hate it so much.
Ooh,
I lost so many fights against that one bug gym leader. I hate Masquerain so much. The problem with Masquerain is that because it's part water, you can't kill it with fire. It's probably what annoyed a lot of people about it.
Lol, get wrecked.
Yeah. So, according to the wiki, because you can't tell obviously from the picture, but these little bits hover like very quickly. They rapidly flap. As a reference to, I guess, it says dragonflies and damselflies, which obviously ties into the pond skater because they live around ponds.
That's fair. Alright.
Yes, the masqua bit comes from masquerade, because these little fins on its head are meant to look like angry eyes, like an owl. You can actually kind of see how they almost look like a noctowl.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
So it's evolved almost to look a little bit like noctowl eyes to scare away predators, which is what animals do in real life.
Yeah, I like that. What else we got? Surskit was a reminder of Super Mario's Sunshine Waterbug mob. I think you'll find that was Super Mario 64.
They started in 64, I believe.
Actually,
God.
I'm that old.
Yep. Gallade is one of my faves, but I will agree with you, Spook.
I mean, I don't mind them having a night Pokemon. It just seems like why tack it onto the Gardevoir line? You can just make it its own thing.
Yeah.
It works. I'm actually getting warm now. What the hell happened to the temperature?
See, this is why I was like, don't put the heating on.
I didn't actually say I was going to. You just immediately went, don't put the heating on.
Because you came in and you were like, it's cold. And
yeah,
I was like,
well, it was cold. I came in and I was cold. I'm not allowed to say when I'm cold. You tell me all the time when you're bleeding warm.
It's so funny warm to me, Cole, that you're like, Surskit was one of my first Pokemon in Pokemon Go. They didn't even have Gen 3 when the game launched. I got stuck at the X and Y bug gym leader for a week because of that Pokemon that destroyed my childhood for me. I mean, Iron Blades or whatever it's... No, we'll get to that later. That's way too convoluted to be like, oh, by the way, that's too convoluted. We'll get to that when we get to that.
Who we got next? Shroomish. I like Shroomish,
Shroomish!
even though he's angry.
He's so angry.
A little angry mushroom. And then Breloom. That's an interesting one.
Breloom! I got no fondness for Breloom. I had a fused Breloom with Breloom on my Infinite Fusion team. Weirdly.
A fighting mushroom. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, I don't know why it is the way it is. We happen to know that it does in fact punch people with those little grabby claws.
Alright.
There probably isn't a gif of it because I believe it was something in the anime or something, but those little... I think that it's like partially some kangaroo inspiration, if you see from this image how it's like, you know, bouncing up and down. So there's a little bit of kangaroo in it.
Oh, it's a pity that the Shroomish then doesn't have dangly bits. For its, you know, the corks on the hats.
Oh yeah.
Because it reminds me of the Aussie hats.
I mean, the hat is a little bit like that.
That would have been too far, but that would have been quite funny for the Aussie.
Yeah, so there's an anime of the fighting type Combusken having a duking out with Breloom.
Okay, so it does have longer arms than
it does. Yeah, it does actually sort of stretch its arms out a little bit. It's sort of holding them in close to its body. So that was what I was looking for a picture for, of that he does actually have like arms that he can stick out. He just doesn't.
Okay, we'll move on to the next. What's chat saying?
Do you like Breloom? It wasn't Masquerain, it was Surskit. Surskit was the Pokemon that effed me over at the gym. The leader only had 2 Pokemon, I had a team full of sticks, and I didn't understand leveling back then. That's understandable.
Got wrecked by a Surskit, sir. Madam, sorry. It's a name. I can't tell. You can't say because it's pink. His dad says it's pink as well. Did you get wrecked by a Surskit? You could step on it. Got people here that are complaining about like Whitney and a Miltank and stuff, and you're like, gotta fear the Surskit.
God,
not that pond skater.
That goddamn Miltank.
Next, yeah. Right. Can you explain this line to me? What is going on here? Slackoth, I get that.
Yep.
Sloth, yep. Vigoroth gets angry, and then we go back to Slacky. Why does the middle one? Where all the angst? Is there a reason for this?
I guess the angst does come from it being the mid stage and thus being the teenager. I think.
A little more.
Doesn't really give us much more than that, though. I'm sure that if we watched a Lockstone video, it would probably give us more information. But yeah, I think the general gist is just sort of like waking up in the morning, having a lot of energy throughout the day, and then feeling really tired in the evening. A sloth's dangerous!
Yeah, that's a picture. Fuck, alright. How to survive an angry sloth attack. That thing looks fucking pissed.
Spook's just googled, "Are sloths dangerous?" and was met with a picture of a sloth with like fangs.
Yep, that is an angry monkey. Alright, that's enough for me. That'll get a pass. Alright.
They got pretty nasty claws on them. And also,
How'd you get wrecked by a Surskit has now been clipped?
Yeah. Also, because you couldn't tell in the game, but as you can see here, Vigoroth is also partially baboon inspired because he's got a red paw.
If you have fire Pokemon and a Pikachu because you like those as a kid, then a single water Pokemon can ruin your day. Did they change like type matchups in Gen 3? I thought electric was good.
Electric should have been good against it because it's part water type. I mean, your fire would have been messed up. As I said, it's bug water, so you go into bug and you'd be like, hell yeah, I've got a fire type, and then it's part water, and you go, oh. But with Pikachu, you probably should have been fine.
But this is Gen 3. Wouldn't you have had a Poochyena? Couldn't you have bited it?
No, if you read back, because you played through Gen 3. It wasn't a bug gym.
Where was the Surskit then?
They're not talking about a Gen 3 yet. They said in X and Y, the bug gym leader had one.
I don't.
Hello,
I
child.
didn't play X and Y.
I know. I love the slacking around the house. Yep. But yeah, Vigoroth is also partially based off baboons as well.
Yeah, I can see the monkey element more.
Yeah, and
in
obviously
Vigoroth.
baboons are quite famous for being aggro.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just for Vigoroth, I guess to make it more interesting, whereas Slacking is more gorilla. He's got the big gorilla chest, so.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay.
Right. So.
Nincada.
I get Nincada.
Yeah.
I get that. That's fine.
You know Nincada.
What's going on here?
Okay, so the concept with Nincada is it is a cicada, and what cicadas do is they emerge from the ground and make a heck of a lot of noise, partially. But what they also do is, as a lot of insects, they will shed their outer skin and basically emerge from within, so they'll leave behind an empty skin husk. And that's what Shedinja is. Shedinja is the empty husk that the Ninjask has left behind when it has shed when it evolved. So you know how caterpillars will come out of their cocoons, out of their pupa, and become a butterfly, and there'll be the cocoon left behind. It's a little bit like that, but with cicadas, they don't make a cocoon. They basically literally just leave their body.
Why is the body then alive?
It's a ghost type.
That doesn't actually help. Because
it's a ghost type.
Because when other insect type Pokemons evolve from their cocoon state, they don't leave a second cocoon state that's then a dead thing.
It's just a thing that this line does.
That doesn't explain it.
No, it doesn't explain it, but that's just what it is. It's got a hole in its back because it's hollow, because the actual body is the Ninjask, which is why their bodies kind of look the same. This is the left behind bit, because it's not necessarily a cocoon, because cicadas don't make cocoons. Oh, it doesn't like it.
No, we're going to say no to that one. That's a bit of a stretch for my liking. Of you leave behind a second skin.
Jesus, there's a lot of trivia associated with Shedinja.
Hang on.
Yeah, Shedinja appears to be based on the shed husk that cicadas leave behind when they finish their metamorphosis into adults.
So, snakes shed their skin a lot, right? So does that mean that you could have an Ekans line which just produces lots and lots of dead ghost things? Did you see spiders?
Yeah, there were spiders on that page.
Well, that's not like that.
Yeah, I was trying to look up cicada husks, and it brought me to a page that had a lot of stuff about lots of insects that also do this. So we're not going to read that page.
Yeah, I know. Luke told me about his tarantula.
Nah, I don't want to know.
But anyway, if you've got snakes that leave behind their shed skins, why wouldn't they become a second Pokemon? This is why I'm like, it just seems a bit too we'll give it to that guy, even though lots of other things do it. And I don't see how it can be alive when it is literally just a dead skin. So does that mean there were two living things in the Nincada, that one of them then gets left behind? It doesn't answer all my questions for me there. Not seeing that one. The other one.
Oh, it also appears to be a reference to a ninjutsu technique, because Nincada, Niska, Ninjask, where ninjas use dummy or replicas of themselves to evade and escape threats, and where its namesake also alludes to the cast and shed off husk of the cicada, may also be based on the guardian angel due to the halo-like object floating above its head and its Wonder Guard ability.
Cool.
So
the key bits in that though was a dummy or replica, as in not alive. So
that's why it's got the ghost type.
That does not explain it. You can't just say, I've left some ectoplasm because I shed some skin. Like, you didn't die. You left something behind. We drop skin cells all the time. It's just what things do. Things leave crap behind. If I pick off a bit of fingernail and chuck it on the floor, it doesn't become like a new little spookling. Oh no, we've got a new Pokemon, Spookling.
Spookling!
It's an old toenail clipping. You know, let's go back through chat. We've missed a lot here.
Yeah. It's because we get very involved in our conversation. X and Y, I don't think childhood me understood typing in the head properly, so I think I just thought that electric was ineffective against water, so I was confused or didn't try. Normal gym was so challenging to me, it felt like an endurance challenge. Considering how bland people think normal types are, normal type gyms are infamously hard.
Because they're very tonky Pokemon. They have lots of defense and health.
If you think about it, water being resistant against electric makes sense because water is good at spreading and absorbing electricity. Yeah. Am I wrong? I mean, I guess that's kind of why they made it weak, because it you absorb all of that electric and take the damage from it.
Yeah, but you can look at it the other way of that water is a conductor, so that electricity travels through it easily.
Yeah, I can see both.
You can see.
I'm free, I can fly. Also, I want to say fuck Wonder Guard. Yep, fuck Wonder Guard. Another way the water is very weak to electric. I know that. I think childhood me didn't know. I just assumed it wouldn't work because water can absorb electricity. Ekans shed skin when I was 1 year old, when I was 2 year old. Yeah. Basically. Okay, well, so you don't like Shedinja, but how do you feel about Ninjask?
Okay, walk me through Ninjask, because it does look a lot different to the Nincada. But you did say that it kind of morphs out of it.
Yeah, because, again, bug. I mean, I feel like if you take a second glance at, the shape of the body and these little pincer bits, you'll then kind of see it a little bit. Okay.
I'd never really had one when I played the game. I think it was just one of them Pokemon that I kind of came across and was just like,
Oh yeah, also we didn't mention, I know you've put trash next to it, but the way that you get a Shedinja is you evolve Nincada into Ninjask, and you have to have an empty slot in your team for basically the leftover to be put into. If you have a full party and you evolve your Nincada into Ninjask, you don't get a Shedinja. There's no space. Game mechanics.
Goodbye, Shedinja. Time for you to die.
Spook doesn't like Shedinja.
Whismur, Loudred, and Exploud. I like these guys.
You like the loud boys? You don't want any more explanation on Ninjask, or are you fine with it?
No, I think I'm good with Ninjask. I just never had one, so I was just like, why does it have a big yellow face?
As the species name implies, it's doubly based on a ninja due to its name, its quick movement, its ability to learn double team, a common ninja technique in Japanese media, and various other cutting actions. This combination is further inspired by stories of ninjas cutting cicadas to mask their own sounds in reference to the cicada skin technique, a technique using decoys to misdirect opponents. So apparently there is a connection between cicadas and ninjas. Which is why there's a ninja cicada.
Fair enough.
So there you go.
I love Loudred. He goes, ah.
I love Loudred I love that in Detective Pikachu they had Loudred speakers.
Yeah.
The beatboxing Loudred with the speakers in the club.
I would say, why doesn't Exploud have the ears?
Because they've become, I guess, to follow on the sound thing, it's become more of like a pipe organ.
Okay.
They're meant to be like organ tubes.
I guess. There's definitely a lot of holes on its body for venting noise.
Yeah, I think they're meant to
Even
be.
its knees.
Yeah, I think they're meant to look like organ pipes from big organs.
Its ears have kind of moved to its butt then, haven't it? Because it's got them two enormous exhausts on the back.
Yeah, well, these horns are also the exhausts. Yeah. They've got holes in as well.
Okay, all right. I'm just curious. Then we come up to a favourite. There's a favourite next, isn't there?
Yes, we have somebody's favourite here.
Somebody's favourite here. Let's just put them in trash just to piss them off.
No. Yeah, you're fine with Makihito and Hariyama?
Yeah, I think they're cool. It's pretty obvious what they're based on, but it's not too over the top. I would say it's a bit weird that they've got different coloured hands as boxing gloves, but Because I mean, I did mention that for Hitmonlee, Hitmonchan.
Yeah, you're like, it looks weird that they're wearing clothes.
It's got too much clothing on those ones, but for Makahita and
Unfortunately, I think that the whole it looks like they're wearing clothes is quite a common problem for the fighting types, especially.
Yeah.
The amount of there's so many. Yeah. By making them look like they've got like a karate belt or boxing gloves is how it makes them look like they're a fighting type.
The German name for Jigglypuff is Pummeluff.
Pummeluff?
Pummeluff. Krankenwagen.
No.
Kugelschreiber. Such a beautiful language.
Schmetterling.
Guten Himmel! It's a good language to be angry in.
I love Schmetterling.
I've been watching some of the old videos that I've got from Looney Tunes days.
Yeah.
That they made back during the 1940s.
Oh no, they're the bad ones.
That's the thing though, is that they're not, because they're taking the piss out of like the enemy essentially, but it's just funny to listen to like the Americans.
It's basically, for those who don't know, back in ye old days, Looney Tunes was actually war propaganda.
Yeah, but for the Americans, because it was like, we want people to join the war against Nazi Germany, because that's just what they did, but just listening to Looney Tunes with them shouting like, "Shots!" Just so funny. It's like you're watching it and you're like, it's so mature, but it's for kids, but it's so wrong, but it's so right. It's just, I was pissing myself. Shots!
Oh, God.
Oh.
I know which one you mean!
Yeah! They were funny ones. It was more funny because they made the Americans seem like they were just like the masters of warfare, which is funnier nowadays.
Yeah.
When you see some of the stuff when it's like, there were some American people that are meant to be watching over sort of like the nuclear war silos, and they were asleep with the doors open. You go, that's not very good, is it?
It's not very good.
It doesn't fill me with confidence.
Friend Jelly, check the weather in Philly when you get the chance. Oh boy, I hope that's not a bad thing.
Philly? That's a hot dog, isn't it?
Narrator's gonna fly over here and punch you in the smug face, and underneath there will be a smaller, smugger face.
Ooh, Philly dogs! Sanark!
Azurill.
What?
Azurill. It's another baby Pokemon. Because they were like, hey, we need it, I guess. It's Baby Marill. Because apparently, even though Gen 2 was the gen they added the baby Pokemon in, they were like, oops, we forgot one.
I guess.
It's like, I believe it's literally the only one in Gen 3. Like, just literally, it's almost like they forgot to put it in Gen 2. Just like, they're a sweet baby, and I do have a plushie of them, though. They're very cute.
I don't know anything against it. It's just like, you know,
It's
like could I picture a baby Marill? Yeah. Could I picture the Azurill being the baby of Marill? Yeah. All right.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah. I got a little tiny Azurill. It's like the size of my hand. Smaller. It's very little. Nose pass.
Nose pass. Yeah, that's...
It's a compass.
Yeah, it's a what?
It's a compass.
No, I think you're wrong there, love. It is based on the Easter Island Heads. I know this one. Based on the Easter Island Heads.
The nasal compass is based on as an expression of follow one's nose, meaning to trust one's instincts. Alternatively, it may be a pun on the English word nose, nozu, and the Japanese word north, nosu. Also based on the ethmoid bone, which is located in the nasal cavity in the brain, which is known to give species a sense of direction via magnetic reception. It is both.
Sadie disagrees.
Which is why it has pass in the name. It's compass. Hello, child.
Can't get multiple of them together because then you get pie. Go and feed the baby.
Didn't she have food when we got home?
Well, she might be angrier for more food.
It's both. It's an Easter Island head, it's also a compass.
Skitty!
I'm gonna throw this out here. When I saw when I first saw nose pads, I thought it was a duck. I thought that was a beak.
That's fair.
First time I saw nose pass in Ruby and Sapphire, I thought it was a duck. I was like, that's weird. Why has it got a beak? Not a beak, it's a nose. I don't know any better.
So you can feed it bread?
Yeah.
Have bread.
Yeah, but yeah, that's why in Colosseum it does this sort of like spin animation rotation because that's how compass needles quiver.
So it just jitters.
Yeah. It's very silly though
What's
because
the matter, baby? Keeps coming in here.
it's
She
very
wants attention.
silly because it's only ever acknowledged once in the anime, in this episode, I remember it. It's never acknowledged in the games, in the TCG, in anything. But in the Pokédex and in the anime, it says that Nosepas's nose points north. So when Ash goes to fight this Nosepass, he wins because he realises it can only face one direction, because it always points north like a compass. And that little tidbit is never brought up again.
Yeah, because that would make it the most useless Pokemon.
It's kind of dumb. It's a little bit dumb.
That's Yu-Gi-Oh logic, that is.
Yeah. It was very, I found it very funny because it's the first gym in Gen 3, so it was very reminiscent of Gen 1's Rock Gym of like, electrocute the water because you turned on the water sprinklers.
That's what I mean when I say it's Yu-Gi-Oh logic of like, but the target isn't your water creatures, Mako. My target is the moon. He blows the moon side up and it's like, well, you can't attack magic cards for a start, mate, so that's a cheat.
Yep.
And it's like, and that makes your magic card do the reverse and all the water disappears. And it's like, so doesn't that just put the field back to the way it was? No, it means that you wash up and die. It's like, you're just making this shit up.
However, I think they actually acknowledge it in Pokemon Legends Arceus, and if you go and find Wild Nosepass in the mountains, I believe they do all face the same direction, which looks very silly. Can't find a screenshot of it now. There's one out in the wild. There's another one. Yeah. I believe they all face the same direction. It
seems more like an ability that they could turn on and off.
Maybe, I don't know. Because they're just here in the wild minding their own business. But
Because
yeah.
otherwise you would find them exclusively by the North Pole. Because then they would be able to orient themselves around creatures to attack very quickly. Because they could rotate in a circle like a crab. There you go. Cole just pointed it out. Fun no-pass fact, when a Nosepass spawns in Pokemon Go, they always point.
Yeah, they do it in Pokemon Go as well.
There you go.
I gotta watch Yu-Gi-Oh! Because that shit was banging.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Is such a weird show. I loved it, but it's so
good,
weird.
but it's good, but in a silly way. It's
Yeah.
like you can't take it seriously, whereas Pokemon tries to take itself seriously, I think.
It tries to create a world that's believable, whereas in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's like everything is about a children's card game. Skitty and Delcatty.
Kitty cat.
Cats.
We decided not to make a new Meowth, we made a cat.
Yep, that's fine.
Sableye.
I love Sableye.
Sableye,
Gremlin.
the little gremlin.
Look at him.
He's a little gremlin. I'm about to ruin him for you.
Oh no. Why? No. What is that? So it's pulled one of its eyes out.
No, it's the one on its chest, I believe. You can see behind there that his eye is still there. You see he's got a red gem in his chest?
What is that?
It's a Mega Sableye. It's Mega Revolution again.
Why is it mega?
I don't know. They don't tend to give a lot of information. Sableye is based on the Hopkinsville Goblin, a creature from alleged Kentucky alien encounter described as having shining eyes, small legs, clawed arms, and swaying hips, a movement that Sableye imitates in the 3D games. Hopkinsville aliens are most famous in Japan, where they have appeared in several medias, okay? Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald on Sableye's body is a reference to the gems of the generation it debuted in.
That's cool.
Doesn't give us any more information other than that, though.
No. Well, Mega One can fuck off.
Because it's got
V, have you seen Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged? Would highly
recommend.
For the Orichalcos.
Diamond Eyes and Ruby
Looks like one of the
Eyes.
aliens from Ben 10. Yeah, I used to
It does
love
a little
Ben 10
bit,
as a
yeah.
kid.
It does
Watch
a bit.
that.
Yeah, he's got sapphire eyes, a ruby chest, and emeralds in his back, according to the sprite there.
Okay. Yeah, I like Sableye, just base Sableye.
Meanwhile,
Moore was a very strange looking one.
it's another yokai, which is why it doesn't mean much to us over here. It's based off another Japanese mythology creature. I can't remember her name. This will tell me right here. Futakuchi Onna, which is a woman with a mouth in the back of her head.
Man, Japan was on some stuff.
Yep. So,
Yeah,
so that's
man.
what she is. She's a woman with a mouth in the back of her head.
I'll give Morwhile a pass. I mean, it's kind of like a tail kind of thing. It's a little weird sort of rabbity type thing. I mean, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, it was. I don't know why it was steel. It was later given the part fairy type, which kind of makes sense for its yokai base. So
Yeah.
I don't know why it originally had the steel type though. And it got a Mega Evolution.
Again, just looks like fan art.
Yeah, it's for some reason
I
because
don't
there was
see
a
the point of Mega Evolutions.
because there was a bit of hair here that didn't have a mouth. The Mega Evolution was like, you know what, this one gets a mouth as well, so it's got two mouths.
Oh, cool. And the second mouth is equally as powerful as the first one that was already predefined. Yep, that makes total sense. And we still got the extra hair bit down on the bottom left. So that doesn't make any sense at all.
I don't know.
Mega Evolutions can fuck off.
Interestingly, the wiki isn't actually giving us a whole lot of information when it comes to the megas.
Next.
Aaron,
Oh, a very personal favourite of mine.
little guy.
Little Aaron.
He's a little guy.
It turns into a cool dude that turns into a cooler dude. Basically, it's like, would you like to have a steel version of a baby Rhyhorn? And you go, yes, I would love a baby
and
version of a steel Rhyhorn.
his helmet is partially meant to be like a knight's helmet. A little bit.
Now, that one I can get because it's not massively obvious. It's the shape of its head rather than let's give a rhino
Let's give him a helmet.
and then just put a helmet on him. That's a shit design, whereas that is cool. You would look at that and go, that thing's really heavily fucking armoured.
Yeah.
We should do something similar.
Top 3 Pokemon Aggron line.
Aggron is... I like Aggron. He's very cool.
It's a shame he got a Mega Evolution.
I don't actually hate that one.
Hey!
Because it fits in with what it is, but again, it's like you've gone down for a 4th evolution, and I don't know if it's necessary. It's just a more armor-plated kind of Aggron.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Mega Evolutions are
That
kind
is my least favourite one so far, though, I'll say. I would actually give that one a pass. If they were to make a 4th one of putting another Ron...
It's weird because Mega Evolutions aren't meant to be new Pokemon. They are meant to be, like, their form, but more. So it's like, if they took it, like, they could take that and work it into a 4th form, because because they didn't make it look too different, because it still has to be Aggron. It's a Mega Aggron, so it's a Mega Aggron, so it still has to look like Aggron. Whereas, you know, if they made it a 4th form...
Where does the prefix of the name come from? Because the suffix is Ron. Well, what's the first bit?
I believe it's metal. Aggregate. Aggressive or aggregate, which is to do with construction. Or metal aggregate and iron.
Right. What's Laron? L-A-I.
I don't know if that is literally just going to be... Larry, which is a slang for aggressive, or Lair and Iron.
Okay.
Interestingly, they have dragon in their name in their Japanese names.
So there's definitely some sort of word to do with aggression with Ron.
Aggron is called Bosgodora, which would flow better in Japanese, which is a combination of Bosch, God, and Dragon.
Wow, someone had a favourite.
Because Kodora is Lairon, so Bosgodora.
Why don't we just take that image, but just call it something like Furon. There you go.
Yeah.
Angry Ron, and then that gives you your 4th evolution. I don't hate that one.
Yeah, Tyranitar was Godzilla, yeah.
Yeah.
Mecha Godzilla, you could argue.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. What's this?
So I find it weird they didn't expand on Mega Evos and instead just made the Pokemon with the recent game thingies. Yeah, basically, they kept Mega Evolution for 2 games, X and Y, and Mega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and then it transformed into we're having a new gimmick every game. And I almost feel like I would have preferred if they just stuck with the same gimmick of old Pokemon get new forms.
What's this? And then Rhyperior pops up. I have seen Rhyperior.
Rhyperior, yeah, I don't like Rhyperior.
It just looks way too different. It's just, what is it? And then what's this? It takes Aggron, Bang, and Mega Evolution to make Spook not hate a Mega. Yeah, that's fair. Because I mean, looking at it, it does just look like Aggron Plus. So
which is what it's meant to be.
Yeah, we're okay with that.
Okay. Meditate!
Meditate and Medicham. I like these guys. These are like your typical kind of like Shaolin monks. What now?
Please remember we're streaming.
Isn't he the guy that can tell you what celebrity you're thinking of? Doesn't he do it in like 20 questions? I'm sure he is. Was that stream safe?
Yeah, I think
Okay. Felt like it was. Just making a comparison.
I can't remember what his name is.
It looks like someone made it in Spore. Yeah, it's like, let's just pick all the different attachments that we can get for all the massive buffs.
Some aggro is using the mob describing it. It seems like he would immediately kill that one genie. Yeah, that one guy.
Yeah, you know what I'm on about. That guy. That
Wait, I haven't seen Mr. Popo before. Boss.
Yes, it is Mr. Popo. Oh no.
Probably shares some inspirations, but yeah.
He has a similar mouth.
Because it's part psychic, so the Mega Evolution has enhanced its psychic abilities as opposed to its fighting abilities.
Good for him. I don't know why he's wetting himself.
They're meant to be beads, I think.
Yeah, beads of piss. Been there, mate. I've
Okay,
been
let's
caught
move
short.
on. You can tell that it's the gimmick, can't you? Because literally we've gone Mega Evolution, Mega Evolution, Mega Evolution, Mega Evolution. So you can tell that we're in the gimmick stage.
Electric and magnetric.
Dogs!
Only annoyed me that it wasn't magnetric because that's how I always pronounced it as a kid.
Same, I still say magnetric.
But it's magnetric.
Magnetric,
As in like a main.
because it has an electric main.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
Mega Evolution. It looks more like a hyena than my hyena does.
It does, but that's really lazy design.
It is a bit lazy, isn't it?
How do we make it bigger? Just draw a giant thunderbolt and then smelt into the bottom
because it's
of it.
main-electric, so they enhanced his mane. But it looks more like a hyena because some species of hyena have big bristly manes going down their back. It looks more like a hyena than the hyena Pokemon does.
Cool.
Next.
Okay.
Plusle and Minun are generational Pikachu clones. You can see what they were going for.
Yeah, money.
Uh,
I can see what they were going for very clearly. It's not even a different fucking type. It's just an alternate Pikachu. It looks exactly the fucking same. It's just, you might as well just said that these are Pikachu variants.
Yeah, Akinator, that's the name. If they were pissed, they would be yellow, not blue. That's fair. Damn,
That just means you've not been drinking enough.
Volts and O in German. I think I prefer that actually for this one. It sounds fancier. Fair enough. Yeah, I think Plusle and Minun, again, it's one of those things where, for me, it was one of those ones of, like, the two. I know that you wanted a pair of similar Pokemon, and I have this problem with Volbeat and Illumise as well. They're too similar.
Yeah. And it's Pichu. It's just a Pichu. Like, what evolutionary difference has that got from Pichu?
They're meant to represent the positive and negative ends of a magnet.
Yeah, I get that, but it's still a Pichu.
Yeah.
It's a Pichu that's got red or blue ears. That's what it is. It's just a freaking Pichu. You've not put any thought into that.
And then we have Volbeat and Illumise. So you're trashing Plusle and Minun,
Yeah.
which I can kind of understand why.
I don't feel like they add anything to the world. Volbeat and Illumise, I mean, they're little fireflies.
fireflies.
Yeah, okay. It's fine by me. Little fireflies. Is there any reason why there's two different ones? As opposed to being like, Nidoran male and Nidoran female?
They are. It's another one of those weird ones that they've done occasionally where I believe they are technically gender dimorphic. It's 100% female and 100% male.
Okay.
So even though at this point we have got Pokemon genders introduced, so they could have made it gender dimorphism, they chose not to.
Okay.
They made them separate. So it's neither king, neither queen.
I'd probably put them as change them.
Yeah,
And just
it's
change
like
them into
it's
one.
like Rathalos and Rathian. It's like they're gender dimorphic of the same species, but nope, we're classing them as different species. I don't know why.
Merge them into one then.
Yeah, it can produce eggs that either contain a long or Volbeat.
Bit weird. I'm still playing Final Fantasy 16. Just got a side quest called "Please Sir, Can I Have Some More Ball?"
Ah, so it's Yoshi P, really, isn't it? Because they've got a bajillion quests like that in frickin' 14. There's a library called a Great Google Library, and one of the quests to unlock it is "Let me Google that."
I'll live there, I'll
Liver. Yeah. The Volbeat has a yellow beat because only male fireflies have the light.
Yeah.
The Illumise doesn't have the light behind it, whereas Volbeat does. It's a neat tidbit.
Look at Core looking at bugs' bottoms. Well done, Core.
Roselia. It's fine.
Sure, yeah, it's. I'm not a big grass type Pokemon fan.
We need grass types though.
You do need grass types, and it is a plant, and it's got
the red and the blue roses.
It's got nice
nice.
colours. Alright, sure. I've got no
Nothing wrong. I take
no major issue with
I
it.
take no offence to it.
It's a plant. Cool.
Plant. Gulpin and Swallow.
Right. I feel. Why do I get strong, like, wheezing muck?
Same. This is
Energy
another
from
one of those ones where it's like we need to fill the poison type niche. We haven't had enough poison types. We haven't had any poison types. We need a poison type. Well, let's just do like muck again, I guess.
But what is it?
I don't know what it's supposed to be. But the general concept is kind of like gluttony in a sense. It's like, you know, it's essentially a walking stomach.
The German name for gulping is Schluppuk.
Schluppuk?
That is the noise that Blue makes with the last of her tea.
Isn't the German name of Licky Tongue like Schlerp?
Schlurp.
Schlerp.
I think it's Schlurp. It's alternate dimension Kirby.
Oh my god. Yes, Swallows is based on a myriad of various organs and glands, such as the stomach and a gallbladder, or a single giant poison gland. It may also be based on a generic organism that uses pseudopia. General shape resembles a slug. So it is kind of like Kirby in that it is literally just an amorphous thing.
I was gonna say trash right up until it said it's a type of slug. It is kind of like a slug. It's not a boat type. It's just poison.
Pure poison. Which I think is fine.
Yeah, annoyingly, yeah. Because I did want to give that one a trash.
This is where I'm sat here, and like the ecology nerd in me is like, are slugs insects?
I mean, I would put them in the same classification. Because I mean, I don't think like spiders and scorpions are insects.
Well, no,
but
they're arthropods.
But you do kind of character, you know, like when you go, bug.
Yeah.
It all falls in the same category.
Yeah,
That's what I'm talking about.
I don't think they're classified as an insect because they don't have exoskeletons.
It's Schlurp.
Schlurp.
Licky tongue, you slurp. That one is genuinely
Schlurp.
Schlurp. Shoots.
Gulpin may be based on the stomach for its round amorphous shape and the digestive gases it produces. Gulpin may also be based on a single giant poison gland or gallbladder, the green sac-like organ that stores gastric acid. Also shares similarities with some snake species known to swallow their prey whole, although its general shape resembles a slug or a sculpin, which is probably why it is called a gulpin. But particularly the grunt sculpin. I'm afraid to click on these. Or alternatively, the blobfish. We all know the blobfish, right, guys? Known for their soft, floppy textured carcasses when washing up on shorelines. Who wants to see the blobfish, everybody? They're so pleasant. Look at the blobfish! It's a gulpin!
Imagine the first time that washed up on someone's beach and you saw that.
You'd flee. You'd probably run screaming.
There's a man that's been turned into a fish.
I'm afraid to find out what a sculpin is. I'm afraid it resembles a slug or a sculpin, but given its name, I mean, gulpin has got to be based off a sculpin. But I'm afraid to click on that link and see what it is.
Who needs to know what the German translation team was smoking for games? That shit must have been taken into infinity and beyond.
Yeah.
Smoking some Tim Allens.
Carvana and Sharpedo.
Why do I feel like there was a second coloration of Carvana?
No.
Two fish.
You're confusing it with another Pokemon that comes in later. Which unfortunately I feel is a bit lackluster because Carvana came first.
I mean, yeah,
Carvana.
It's a piranha and then a shark torpedo.
Shark torpedo.
Are they?
I cut him off because I showed him the Mega Evolution. I immediately disrupted his train of thought.
Why does it feel like that should just have HMS printed on the side of it?
Because it probably does somewhere.
Does Carvana evolve into Sharpedo? Okay.
It's a loose connection, but yeah.
Why does it evolve? Because it's a fish.
I guess the dev team connected piranhas to sharks a little bit. Piranha, red underside resembling a red belly piranha. Say much else other than that.
Okay, I'm gonna put it as a change then because I don't feel like it needs to. They're not similar enough in my opinion to change, so just a separate line.
There is a fan theory tying Sharpedo to another Pokemon, but it's a Pokemon from another generation, so I will have to mention it when we come across that other Pokemon.
Alright. What's the rest? Just me, or does Sharpedo just look like how kids would draw guns in drawings? Yeah.
A little bit.
I mean, no, because we've already seen Remoraid.
Yeah, Remoraid exists. Sculpin is just a fish. Oh, okay. Interesting.
Oh. It's a fish.
Whale.
It's a whale.
Whale.
It's a whale.
It's a whale.
Now, here's the next line. I mean, there's nothing really to say about whale. It's a whale.
It's a whale.
It's a big fucking
Yeah,
whale.
it's a whale. Pokemon didn't have a whale. Now it's got a whale.
Good for it.
It's a whale. There's the screenshot from Sword and Shield in here. I feel like everybody lost their mind when they saw the Sword and Shield whale, no? Wailord, sorry. Sword and Shield Wailord.
Sharpedo in its mega technically.
Sword and Shield Wailord!
Oh my god.
What?
Wow. I mean, yeah, it's a fucking
It's
whale.
a whale! Everyone was like, yo! And then when you actually touch it, it's just a normal size, and everyone went, oh.
What the hell's that? Just hovered over something. Helen Keller's book. Recognise that name. Is this next? Are these three next ones in a tree? Are they?
Numel and Camerupt are related. Torkoal is not. Torkoal is a standalone.
Okay, that's
They
fine.
do. I know they look like they could maybe be linked to the stretch, but no, they are separate. So Numel evolves into Camerupt, and they're both camels.
Yeah, that's cool. Why has it got blue windows?
I don't know if the wiki's going to tell me this, but I feel like I watched a Lockstin video that did actually explain what those circles were for. Resembles a Bactrian camel with two humps and volcanoes on its back instead of humps, although the proportions closer to that catalogue not yet. I don't see a thing. Also, yes. Volcano.
Oh look, it's Zora Magdaros. Combined with a Scotty dog.
Yeah, because Sharpedo is Team Aqua's leader's signature Pokemon. So because he got a Mega Evolution, they gave him a Mega Evolution because he's Team Magma's signature, Team Aqua and Team Magma. So they were like the signatures of each other. Yeah, so it straight up gets a volcano. Torkoal is a turtle that has like hot coals inside it. It's also partially based off a tea kettle. Which is why it lets off steam and goes.
Okay, fair enough.
Nice little tidbit.
Little fiery turtle. Now I got these next to.
Spoink and Grumpig.
You want to check chat?
Really like Wailord. Whalemon
What
is my
is the
favorite.
matter, Sadie?
Whalemon is my favorite whale-style creature from anime. We love Whalemon. Two things on Grumpig. One, it's a disappointing evolution, and two, the German name is Groink. I love it. Groink. I love Groink. Spook's gone off into the other room. We'll be back momentarily. Spook is just tending to the feline. I'm going to go top up my water, actually. I'm not going to bother going to the away screen because we'll be back in like 2 secs. Groink. Yeah, I think that Grumpig takes away all the cool energy that Spoink had. Also, yes, we're going to address the elephant in the room that Spoink's Pokedex entry claims that if it stops jumping, its heart will stop.
That's just another cop-out for if Charmander's flame goes out dead. It's like, that's not true. So, Spoink's a little weird and cutesy for me, but I've never seen Grumpig. I didn't realise that was a thing.
Yes, Spoink has an evolution in Grumpig.
A little different, is it not? It's not too different.
It's a little different. I don't know why, but Grumpig does give off Gen 2 energy.
Yeah, Gen 2 like beta sprites or something. Like, why has it got them black dots on its head?
I don't know, it's another one of those things that they sometimes give to psychic Pokemon that often have like little gems on their foreheads. It's just a thing they do with psychic types for some reason.
Weirdly enough,
I'm
more
sorry,
okay
its
with
Japanese name is Boopig?
Spoopig.
Boopig! I'm not sure why it's a psychic pig though. Grumpig appears to be based on a pig. It may also be based on the biblical phrase, neither cast ye pearls before swine, lest they trample them beneath their feet and turn again and rend it. Pearls are supposed to represent wisdom given to an audience who would not appreciate the teachings. Grumpig and Spoik appear instead to use those pearls of wisdom to enhance their psychic powers. So there we go, we just had that question answered. Based off a saying.
Based off a saying that no one's ever fucking heard of.
Only because it's not English, it's from the Bible.
I mean, it was written in English right
Yeah.
there, love.
It's from the Bible, it's a biblical phrase.
Unless it came from, its ancient Hebrew
It might have
origins.
come from Hebrew, yes. But yeah, it's from a biblical saying.
I feel like there should be a middle tier before you get to Grumpig if we're going to start with Spoink.
Yeah? That means Grumpig would need to be stronger because it's a very mid Pokemon.
But I don't... Yeah, I'd just stick with that, to be honest. Spoink's kind of cute, but I'd say put a change to Grumpig in that needs a evolution between.
Uh-huh. That's what like a giraffe rig. Yeah, that's what I was getting at. I was like, it gives me Gen 2 energy, weirdly.
Spinder.
Another odd one. Just a standalone normal type.
Just a little bear thing, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bear, bunny thing. It's not clear, but it's never clear with Eevee what Eevee's supposed to be. It's a fox, it's a cat, it's a dog, it's a rabbit, it's all of them.
It's furry bait.
Spinder appears to be based on the Quingling Panda with traits of the rabbits. It also resembles a teddy bear or a stuffed toy. Aww! It's like a brown panda! Oh, so that's its alternate name, the brown panda. Aw, that's cute. The brown panda! It does look like a Spinder. That's all they've really got to say.
Alright. I mean,
I guess that's why it's a normal type, because it's a normal type, it's just kind of... It's an animal.
Right.
Catminch.
I'm going to need a little help with this line. What is going on here that we've got this kind of orange robot dog thing that turns into a dragonfly, which turns into then a dragon.
Okay. It's not a robot.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it is based. That they're based off antlions, and yes, the whole dragonfly into an actual dragon because dragonfly.
Okay, it's based off an antlion. Alright.
Yeah, that's what he actually is. He's an antlion.
Oh, okay.
Trapinch is based on the larval stage of the antlion, which live in sandy pits before maturing into adults, which is the Vibrava.
Oh, okay. That's kind of cool.
So yeah, it's one of those things where I even to this day, my brain thinks that they should be bug type because they're based off antlions. Like I know what they are based off, so my brain is like, well, because they're based off that, they're bugs. And it's like they're not bugs in the slightest. Vibrava represents the adult stage of the antlion, although it seems to draw a visual representation from mayflies, possibly nodding to the Japanese word for adult antlion, Yusoba Kagero, which is thin-winged mayfly. Combined with the antlions' resemblance to a dragonfly, Vibrava's typing suggests that it may also draw inspiration from sand dragons. There's a tendency to create harsh noises with its wings similar to the cicada, and then obviously Flygon goes much more into the whole dragonfly.
Okay. I was against the Trapinch bit at first, but that actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah, okay, that's kind of cool. I like that. Alright.
The adult stage of the antlion sometimes is confused with the dragonfly, and Flygon draws inspiration from both. In fact, some species of dragonflies are commonly called with sand dragons, which could account for the Vava and Flygon's type combination. Keeping with the dragon type, it possesses a dragon-like build and tailian features such as the arms and tails. Goggle-like lenses hide a small eye, could be inspired by mantids or similar insects which have large compound eyes, which help it keep standouts of its eyes in the desert.
Yeah, I never even noticed the eye underneath. I thought the whole red thing was the eye.
Yeah, it's basically got little sand goggles on.
Okay, that's kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah, I like Flygon. Flygon's cool.
Flygon's cool. Cacnea and Cacturn, just...
Yep.
It's a bit weird that it's grass and then grass dark. I would have thought it'd be fire. Because of being in the hot deserts. I don't know.
There's a thing about Scarecrow, yeah. Sagro and scarecrows, and also maybe slightly a little bit of Halloween jack-o'-lantern.
But it's a scarecrow. Who do you think cares for all the little birds?
Cares for all the crows, I know.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean, pretty simple, but I like them.
Yeah. Swablu and Altaria!
Right, run me through this one. What is going on here?
So,
what is it? It's a cloud that a bird flew into.
No, it's got soft... You know how baby birds have very fluffy, downy feathers? Yeah, it's just got fluffy...
You mean like the ones that your subscribers can get?
Yeah, like the ones next to my subscribers' names. It's just got soft, fluffy, downy feathers.
Okay.
Little bluebird combined with cotton cloud, and also compares traits with
the ultramarines?
The ultramarine lorikeet, apparently.
Oh, okay. That was a new unit.
The behaviorally, that's a mouthful, it is similar to the Canadian jay in that they are given to sitting on people's heads. What a weird thing to point out. But yeah, it's a swab, cotton swab. Cotton swab. You've got soft, cottony, downy feathers.
So where'd you stick an Altar then?
Altaria.
It's chat saying.
Right, so Alto.
I still find it hilarious that red pandas are all called red pandas. Meanwhile, they are closer related to cats than pandas. If I remember
Yes,
correctly.
I believe so. Trap interest and ability, which means you can't flee from them, like Antline's pit. Yes, I believe it's called Sand Trap is the ability. Nocturne. Is it Arena Trap? Might be. We've got Nocturne as well for Cacturn. Cacturn Nocturne. Noctuka. Sorry if I mangled. I'm sorry, mangled that. Cacturn. It's a blue sky bird. Yes.
Hello, murderer.
So Altaria is based off, great name for a mythological creature, a peng.
The noise that it makes when it hits a desk.
Peng. It's based on a peng, which is a Chinese legendary bird of enormous size, with cloud-like wings. Often portrayed as having a fish-like head and whiskers, which maybe is why it has the tufts on its head. It also resembles a cockatiel, but with cloud-like wings. Similar characteristics of cocktails, such as the crest and the cheeks. Resemblance further expanded on Altaria's shiny form, resembling Lutino cockatiel, which is famous for the white and black colouring. The shape of the fluff can draw inspiration from Dutch caps or Usankas, because hello, there's also a Mega Evolution. It gets even fluffier. Okay. It's just fluffier. There's Altaria.
Alright. Okay.
Yeah. Altaria is a combination of alto, Spanish, Portuguese, and Italian for high, or the musical part between a tenor and a soprano, and aria, Italian for air, or a musical piece for a single voice. Both words being terminologies used in music refer to Altaria's singing abilities. Various sing-song. Name also may refer to the star Altair, the brightest star in the constellation Aquila, which is the bird constellation. The latter being the name for the Italian word for eagle. The former name of the star Delta Draconis Altis, a yellow star in the constellation Draco, which is the latter's word for dragon, obviously being part dragon type as well.
Okay.
I like Altaria.
Yeah. Weirdly enough, I feel like we're getting close to the end, and
You've not actually hated Gen 3 all that much.
No, I think I like more of Gen 3 than I thought. I think it's probably just because that if I was to compare them to ones from Gen 2 or Gen 1, they wouldn't be my favourites, but they still make sense. They're still kind of cool. Who have we got next then? Zangoose.
Zangoose, part of
Edge boy.
Yes, he's edgy and he is part of a duo. They don't evolve, but the pair of them go together.
Is that Absol?
No, it's with Survivor because it is a snake and a mongoose. Natural enemies. You'll also find that I believe is it in the Shinies? I don't remember now. Double check. I love this. This is the Scarlet and Violet Pokedex page, so it shows the two of them fighting in Scarlet and Violet. I believe, unless I may be misremembering. Here we go. In the original sprite, Zangoose has purple claws, which matches Seviper's purple scarring, and Seviper has red fangs and a red tail, which matches Zangoose's scarring. And they actually changed it to black, and I was like, you should have kept it purple. That was a nice little bit of lore. They've scarred each other from fighting. The purple claws was to pair it with Seviper, and they removed it.
Weird that they've gone with a normal and a poison then. But I suppose you can't. I mean, I suppose what they probably could have done would be have them have types where it's like one was weak to the other, but then the other type
but the other one would nullify it.
Nullify, you know, to be like that they're locked in a battle.
Yeah.
Like poison and fairy, and then like
it's probably because
fighting in the dark.
Because fairy didn't. I mean, Zangoose doesn't suit fairy, but obviously fairy does resist poison, and let's see. Fairy's weak to poison. Sorry. So it resists. So it could have been fighting. I can't see Zangoose as like fairy or grass is the problem either. It could have been fighting maybe to resist it.
Yeah, just something like that. That would have been cool. Of like, it doesn't have to be perfect, but if it was like, you know, they've got one side they're weak to, the other one they resist to or nullify.
Because the thing is that if I'm reading this correctly, it resists. Fighting resists poison, but poison isn't necessarily weak to fighting. So it would resist it, but it wouldn't like have an advantage over it.
I suppose this is where my type chart comes in.
I feel like they could maybe be given some alternate typing so that they complement each other better.
So yeah, poison is double effective against grass and fairy, and then he's just normal, which is not good against anything.
Corsair's Zangoose has an ability that makes it stronger if poison. Got immunity. It has the immunity which prevents it from being poisoned, which is what Mongooses fight cobras because they basically don't care about cobra poison. They can't be poisoned, so that's why. And then the hidden ability is toxic boost, which gives them a boost if they are poisoned. So there we go then. So that's why. So
it can't be poisoned.
It's a hidden ability. You can have one.
Oh.
So there you go. So that answers that question. It doesn't have a special typing because it actually has an ability to account for the fact that it's resistant to poison. So that's why. It's not resistant to poison damage, it's just resistant to being poisoned.
Right, then we come to two weirdies.
And nothing else to say on those two? Just happy with them, as they are?
It's a big viper and it's a mongoose.
Yeah.
The coloration is a bit weird, but like you said with the scarring, so I'm like,
it's just his marking is red because the viper's bits are red. So.
I would say that like a clean one would be like it was just pure white, but then when it does get hurt by the other one, so it would have different markings. That would be all I would say.
Yeah, it would be neat, especially since they literally had that mechanic in this generation with Spinder, because Spinder can have like 50 billion different patches.
Yeah.
That would have been better suited to Zangoose to have different scar patterns.
Yeah, I would probably make that canon, so I might just put that in there of like.
Give it scar variants.
Scars can change. Why not? Because that would just or Scraz, or as I put
Scrags.
Right. 2 rocks.
Yeah, sometimes I wish Nintendo would just make a powerhouse of a console just so I could enjoy Pokemon games and Zelda games that look and play even better. Ugh. To be honest, Scarlet and Violet had been given more time to cook. The Switch is handling Tears of the Kingdom fantastically, as far as I can tell. I had to make the comparison because it reminded me of Altair, the protagonist from Assassin's Creed. That's fair.
So what's with the rocks?
I've heard a bit of grumbling about new console coming from Pokemon from Nintendo. I mean, the Switch is like, what, 7-8 years old? I think it's time for a new console, really. They're going to get left behind. They're going to get left behind in the old console wars. Sorok and Lunatone!
They look a little too similar to what they are.
Yeah. Sadie agrees! Now!
Like what? Where? What? Whoa.
I don't know why they were like, we need a Sun and a Moon Pokemon, especially when Espeon and Umbreon exist.
And when it's not named after the Sun and Moon Pokemon games.
Yep. So yeah, we've got Lunatone, and we've got Solrock. Meteorite Pokemon. I believe both of their Pokedexes suggest that they may have come from space. Don't know.
Can't say I'm that impressed.
No, I'm not hugely impressed either. I've got it gets a blue eye because of blue moons when it's shining. It's Crescent Moon is on Meteorite. Depicts the man and the moon. Rather unimaginative, really.
It's just too on the nose to me. Like, we had all these rocks at full turn that just happened to look like the sun. Or our depictions of the sun in drawings. Like, yeah, whatever. It's a bit shit. Barboach and Whiscash. Just big fish.
There's a big fish.
I want to move through these a little quicker now because I've got a bed.
Yeah, the Spook's getting tired. We're getting close to the end. I've got a shiny Barboach in Legends Arceus. Fun fact, in the anime somebody had a Master Ball and Whiscash ate it.
So, did it catch the Master Ball? Go, Master Ball! Dun, 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 dun.
I don't know if there's going to be a picture of it in the gallery, but that was the thing. There's the guy with his Master Ball, and there's the Whiscash, and that Whiscash eats it.
Corfish and Crawdad, they just look like big lobsters. Okay with that.
Just lobsters.
I like Caribbean King. So.
Yeah.
Baltoy and Claydol, what the hell's going on with these two?
This is again this sort of like, because there were ruins where the Reggies are kept. These were like, I don't know if they were trying to go for an unknown kind of vibe again. So they're like, what they're based off. I don't think this is one of those things where they are them. I don't know if they're necessarily inanimate objects, but they're based off these. Dogu. These little, literally earthen figure, humanoid animal figurines from Japan's history that are just like clay men.
Okay.
Baltoy is also based off a spinning top because it spins. Not entirely. Again, this is one of those things where the people who actually research Pokemon lore would probably actually be able to tell you more. I'm sure Lockstin probably has a 20-minute video explaining why these guys are this way, but I'm not fully sure.
They look a little bit too man-made, but not like in sort of modern-day electronic.
It's based off these clay dolls from the Japanese period. It's kind of all it really says on the wiki. I hate when the wiki page, the place that's meant to be full of information, gives you a sentence, and yet YouTubers can make a 20-minute video.
I can't see these things existing naturally.
I mean, they are ground type.
V said no.
Oh, Kiwi.
Bye, V.
Bye, V. I hope you've had a good evening.
I wish I'd been more angry tonight, but I've actually been kind of content with them. I imagine that the next time that we do,
you're gonna get so mad at Gen 4.
Yeah.
You're gonna get so mad at Gen 4. I can tell you now. I don't know when we're gonna do Gen 4 because it's literally a once in a blue moon that this occurs. But Spook is gonna get so mad at Gen 4.
Oh my god, I'm looking at just some.
Don't spoil it. No.
Yeah, I'm gonna think.
Yeah, I don't know if it is meant to be this generation's attempt at it is a man-made thing, and like in typical Pokemon thing of like it's man-made, but we don't know where it came from.
Yeah, because then it's like, well, how are more made? It's always the problem that you come to of like, we don't know how they're made, so there's a finite number. No, and what? That don't make any sense. Lileep and Cradily, what the fuck is this?
These are our fossil Pokemon. These are our first two fossil Pokemon. They're based off, ancient fossilized plants, weirdly enough, because, I mean, they're grass type. So
Okay.
They're based off fossilized plants and stuff that they found at the bottom of the ocean.
Okay.
So even though they're rock type, as was seen in the new Pokemon Snap game on the Switch, they're quite content to live in the water. So they're rock type, so just because some rock Pokemon flinch at water, not all of them do. Lileep is based off crinoids known as sea lilies. Flowy thing. There you go.
Okay. Anorith and Armaldo. Again, more fossils, I'm assuming.
It's the Cambrian explosion.
Right, here's one that I actually have a question about. Feebas and Milotic. What the fuck is going on?
We're just gonna skip over Almaldo. You don't want any.
Yeah,
You don't want to see the Almalocaris. Oh, this little guy.
What a cutie. Next.
Fair enough. Right, Phoebus and Milotic, I think, was an attempt at recreating the Magikarp Gyarados, but they didn't want to just do the same thing again, where it's something weak becoming strong, so they've gone with the ugly ducking, and it's something ugly becoming something beautiful. Because Gen 3 added in the Pokemon contest, so in order to get a Feebas to run to Milotic, you had to max out its beauty score. They got rid of that in future games because obviously they didn't keep the contests. So it's something ugly and unlovable turning into something beautiful. They changed it, high beauty condition or evolving with a prism scale. Remember the rainbow fish? Did you ever have that book as a kid?
Yes.
I think that the prism scale is a slight reference to the rainbow fish. Phoebus, the rainbow fish scale, becomes beautiful. But it's the Magikarp Gyarados vibe. If you're okay with Magikarp and Gyarados, then I feel it's unfair to hate these for being like, they're too different, because Gyarados doesn't look like Magikarp in the slightest. It's the same thing, but they made it different. What was your opinion on Gyarados and Magikarp? Were you happy? You put that you were happy with them. I feel like it's just nostalgia. If you're trying to be subjective, I feel like it's unfair to say that you don't like them. Because it's the same, but they tried to be different.
Fine. They didn't. They just took one small thing and turned it into another thing. It's just in terms of beauty instead of strength. I will give it a pass because it meets the criteria that I have set out and that it's believable.
Okay.
Let's move on to cast form before you anger me further.
Fine, cast form.
What is the deal with cast form?
Cast form, apparently, it's not really ever spoken about ever, but I think is another man-made Pokemon.
Right.
I think was the story in Ruby and Sapphire. I think at the Weather Institute, the NPC literally goes, "Here's a Pokemon we made," but I can't remember if that's what they said or if it is just a naturally occurring thing.
And it changes based on the weather.
It changes based on the weather because they added in the weather mechanic, just like how they added in a day and night mechanic. They added in a weather mechanic.
Sure, I mean, I imagine that a lot of creatures use the weather to their advantage, so I can give that a pass. That seems alright to me.
Topics doesn't actually mention it, so maybe I was wrong.
Maybe you dumb.
It was a long time since I played Ruby and Sapphire. I'm willing to accept that I'm done.
Lily to anemone. Core is mad at Gen 4 still. Oh, we're probably going to have some fun with Gen 4 when that happens.
Gen 4's going to be so funny because Gen 4 was Curls' first generation, so she's attached to it for that reason. I'm afraid Gen 4's probably my least favourite.
Spooky boys!
You just giving Kecleon a pass? It's a chameleon.
It's a chameleon. It's a chameleon.
Cool.
And we've not seen one of them before.
Cool.
Right,
Spooky
now,
boys.
Spooky boys. We already have some spooky boys. I want to know what is the difference between these spooky boys and other spooky boys that we've had.
So this spooky boy is based off a possessed puppet / toy / doll. That trope that gets used very often in media.
Right. Possessed item. So it is not ethereal.
Shuppet appears to be a Tarabozu, a Japanese paper doll resembling a ghost. It also resembles a hand puppet and is similar to common depictions of ghosts, such as floating cloths. Yeah, this is Tarabozu. Okay. And then it goes from Shuppet to Bennett, which is based off voodoo dolls, I think, partially as well. Based on the idea of a haunted doll, while its Pokedex backstory is of a doll coming to life, similar to the Tsukumogami, an idea rooted in Shinto animism. The appearance and habit of sticking itself with a pin is similar to the concept of a doll. Tools that have acquired a kami or a spirit.
So a possessed item.
Essentially, in a way, yes.
See, that's where I start to lean further away from the ghosty side of things when it's like, it's a ghost that has inhabited a body. It's like, okay, well, what was the ghost that inhabited it then? because the ghost could have just been a ghastly or a haunter or a mischievous or a whatever. Like, how many different variants of dead thing do we need?
Gave it a megaform that has bits of the spirit actually.
Not leaning on the side of pass for this one, but I don't know what to change it to, because again, it's just like, it's a ghost that possessed something. It's like, we already have a ghost. I feel like other ghosts could just do that because that's just a ghost thing, you know what I mean? But it just had a haunter that's like, well, it's possessed a doll. It's like, okay, it's still a haunter, but it's just in a doll now. Or, you know, what about Duskull and Dusclops? What are their deal?
So I believe they're taking a few things into consideration for Duskull. So it's so the shape of its body and the fact that its eye glows is partially, I believe, inspired slightly by like lanterns and wisps, floating ghost lights. Because in the dark you just see the floating eye.
Mm-hmm.
The skull and stuff is reference to the Reaper. So there's information here that even I'm saying that isn't on here, but I have definitely heard. It's similar in shape to a Hitotama, which doesn't really give a helpful thing. Balls of fire that float in the middle of the night, so will-o'-the-wisp. Souls of the dead that have separated from their bodies. That's about all the wiki that the wiki gives us.
Okay.
You go to Dusclops, which I think is more mummified now, I think is what it was meant to be. Based on the Hitsumi Kozo, a humanoid cyclops-like ghost. So this is another Japanese spirit creature.
Okay.
One eye in the center.
Hitatsumi. The Hitatsumi giant from Yu-Gi-Oh! It's one of Kaiba's early cards.
That's what that'll be based on.
A cyclops.
Also has similarities to the Choshin Okabe, which is a 1/8 haunted paper lantern. That's the one we just saw. And mummies, it just throws in at the end. Obviously, we know what mummies are. You can see it's kind of like trailing them behind on his feet on this image here. Wraps are kind of trailing behind him a little bit. So it's a bit of amalgamation of a couple of things.
Again, going back to what I said about the other ghost types of like making them individual things, I think I could give Shuppet and Duskull a pass, but I don't feel like an evolution form makes a lot of sense for something that's dead. Something that like gets progressively better. I don't feel it's something that the dead would do. It's just, you know, you associate things evolving and getting bigger and stronger to living things once you've died. That's kind of,
I don't know. There's a common trope in a lot of things about spirits becoming like more and more powerful over time for various reasons. Whether that is with like time, with malice, just from
but I don't see them needing to change and adapt. Is more what I mean.
Yeah, I guess it's just your perception again. It's like they may not necessarily be adapting, but they might just be changing because they are gaining these things. I guess quite often it'd be like in a lot of things it'll be like gaining more energy kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know if they'd necessarily need to, because like shop it into Banette, like there's a definite distinct difference there of possessing like a physical doll as opposed to just a piece of paper or a bit of cloth or whatnot. And then Duskull into Dusclops, it's like, and now is also mummified. Of like, mummification is something that you do prior to death, not you die, turn into a ball of fire, and then go, fuck, forgot my band-aid. Like, it's a bit.
Well, again, this is one of those. It's one of those things in the Pokemon universe where it's like we know the creature to be inspired by mummification, but that might not be what it is in lore. It just looks like that. It might in the lore, it might not actually be a mummified corpse. It just looks like that. But I don't know.
I think I'm going to get rid of the evolutions. I'll keep the early ones because there's obviously so many ghosts we've got to have, but can't stretch enough to the evolutions.
The problem is that if you instinctually don't want to give ghost types evolutions, it means that they as a whole need to be made stronger.
Yeah, that would be fair.
So would you? Are you sure you wouldn't want to, like, I don't know, scrap Shuppet but keep Banette, or if you keep Urki?
No, I feel like Shuppet and Duskull are easier to adapt into.
Okay.
It's a spirit that exists, whereas the other ones require a little bit more leniency. I don't mind them having evolutions because I would justify them by saying
the blue hated Pokemon. No, it's not, Claude. You're misremembering. That one comes later.
As I was saying, I don't mind them having evolutions. I could turn the evolutions into their own separate things if I feel that they are a more justified like spirit. You know.
Okay, that's your take on it.
That's my take on it.
Okay.
That's just how I'm. But I can't for Dusclops and Burnett. They just too much. There's too much of a stretch to get to.
Tropius.
It's a Meganium.
It's not.
It's a Meganium.
It's not though.
Why isn't it?
It's got leaf wings because it's part flying type.
It's what?
It's part flying type.
I will just delete the image. No.
Spook's not a Tropius fan. It can fly.
I was actually on board to say, yeah, it's just a big sort of dinosaur thing, but it looks a bit similar to Meganium. But that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Part flying type. It can fly.
Yeah, just like freaking Doduo and Dodrio can fly.
Look at him soar through the air majestically.
Into the recycling bin.
If I can quote Douglas Adams, they hang in the air in the exact same way that bricks don't.
Yeah, no. Next.
See, looky, him fly, him flapping his wings.
Next.
Oh.
No,
Oh.
not playing ball with that one. That's dumb.
Chimecho.
Chimecho. What's Chimecho's deal?
It's another Japanese thing. There's a lot of Japanese yokai in Gen 3. Based off wind chime known as Furin, I think that's probably the best. There's like a specific one I know that does actually look like Trimecho almost exactly, but this is not how they look. Which I believe, the hung around Shinto shrines to predict disasters and ward off evil spirits. And they're meant to sort of like send out positive energy, which is why it's psychic type. The chimes ring when it predicts something's going to happen. That's why it's got the psychic type.
I guess I could picture an animal that can float and has just a noise. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and it's got a little thing on its head that it's meant. I don't really know what it's supposed to be, but I've literally seen in the anime that James had one of these, and he did literally grab it, and it was literally just like the happy vibes Pokemon. It was always happy to just sort of be there, and just like James. So he literally like grabbed it and like hooked it on a thing so it would be out of the way, and it just hung there, just going James. And they were just like, just stay there. Bless you. There we go. Absol!
Absol, the Edge favourite.
Yes, edgelord Pokemon. I like them anyway.
Talk about Absol because I know you want to.
Right, Absol predicts natural disasters, and
Why does it just make them? I predict I'm going to punch you in the face.
That's literally kind of the thing, though. Basically, it can predict when disasters are going to happen, so it tries to go and help, but because it's an animal at the end of the day, a lot of the time it can't help, so it's there when the disaster occurs. Humans saw that and went, "You're a bad omen! Throw rocks at you!" And now it's all, sad and edgy because it's like, I try to help people and they hurt me because I was just trying to help, but they don't understand.
Why has it got a scythe jammed into him?
I don't know if that's part of, it's a horn to try and, which is how it detects the sort of energy of how a bad thing is going to happen. We may get something in here. Absol has a lot of text in comparison to some. Absol is most likely based off by Z in Chinese mythology, whose name literally translates to white marsh. It's generally described as a white beast, distinguished by having one or two horns on its head. It's to be an intelligent beast. The Bai Z is gifted with the ability to understand human speech and knowledge and forms habits about some creatures. This is just about the Bai Z, this entire paragraph. Baiji says its knowledge to the Yellow Emperor, which subsequently compiled into a book called the Bai Z Tufu, supposed to fragments of life today. In Japan, it is known as the Hakutaku and is said to resemble a cat or a lion. In legend, a creature known as the Kutabe predicted a plague which would sweep through Toyama of Japan. It also sometimes said to have an extra eye on the head or the back, which may be represented by the oval on Absol's forehead. It's just an obscure white creature.
Alright.
Absol's head is modelled after the Taiju symbol, which we would probably know better as the yin-yang symbol. I think. evolutions of that. There we go. Absol's humanized face and feline appearance may be homage to the Sphinx. It's rough, resembling a human hair and lion's mane. White fur on the top of its head, loosely resembling the headpiece of the Egyptian Sphinx, also suggests this. The scythe-shaped tail and horns suggest a resemblance to the Western personified depiction of Death, who is related to the destiny and disaster. Is also inspired by Black Cat superstition. So this whole shtick is basically to be a harbinger, an omen of things to come.
I would give it a pass, but it sounds more like a legendary Pokemon.
It kind of does, which is what, honestly, I love Mega Absol. Mega Absol with a few tweaks could be a legendary. That could be a legendary Pokemon.
Yeah, that could just be a redesign, if I'm honest. Just replace Absol with that image and then just make it a legendary, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I think Mega Absol is probably my favourite.
They put clearly put a lot of thought into that.
They really
Pokemon,
like Absol.
It's just not a legendary. It just seems a bit lackluster. Like, you know, Arcanine was originally a legendary because they were like, it's a big, cool thing, and then it went, it's just a fire direction. We got other legendaries.
Yeah, there's a lot of lore around Absol. So yeah, it's a popular one. Very late game Pokemon, but I remember finding one and still just being like, I want to put it in my team.
Absol is a good boy indeed.
Yes, they're so misunderstood.
Thank you, Vaz. I did sneeze a lot. Okay, yeah, we'll keep Absol. I might put a change in there of just like make more epic / legendary.
I mean, you could say make the evolution a legendary Pokemon instead of you could say that instead because you say make more epic. I'd say that reasonably does it. You could say / make Mega a legendary. Adler has an Absol.
Why not?
Why not?
It's dumb.
Because it's a pre-evolution Wobbuffet.
Because it's dumb.
Why not?
What we got here? Snorunt and Glalie.
Glalie. I never really got on with these two. I believe once more with feeling. What are we based off of? We're based off yokai. I didn't realise that Gen 3 was the yokai gen, but apparently it is.
I like Glalie.
Snorunt is based on the Yukinoko childlike spirit in Japanese mythology, said to emerge when it snows, wearing a straw raincoat. It's also based on the Zakshishi Warishi, mischievous spirit from the folklore of Iwate. I'm probably mangling all of these pronunciations. It also seems to be a stylized version of a person wearing a yukimino, a type of traditional weatherwear from the snowy parts of Japan that consists of a conical snow cloak made of straw. Generally, Yukinko are small elf-like creatures wearing them. So Yukinko, it's another yokai. It's a little creature from Japanese mythology that has a thing on it.
Okay.
So again, it's the equivalent of they made a dragon Pokemon. It's like, well, they made a Yukinko Pokemon. It's just based off a creature.
But it evolves into Glalie.
Glalie, yeah. Based on human features, a cold distance facial expression looks somewhat like an ice hockey mask. Due to its Japanese name, horns and teeth, it may be based off an Oni, or a Tsubure Otoshi.
Which are invisible, because they have no picture.
The Oni-like features and mask-like appearance may be a reference to Namahage demons portrayed by men wearing Oni masks and straw capes as part of a ritual in northern Japan. I guess that's a link, the straw cape, because thing using a straw. Glalie's pre-evolution, just mentions it there, it appears to wear a Mino. It's also based on the Onigiri, based on the rice ball. It also resembles the hailstone. It's a bit. Ogre masks. So again, it's just kind of like an ice demon spirit thing.
It's weird because
Onigihori. Yeah, Oni is a Japanese ogre / demon thing. So it's an ice demon. You got a mega form.
Okay.
They gave him the jaw.
Alright. I don't know how Snorunt evolves into Glalie.
I've never really got that link either. I guess maybe because Glalie has like this. I don't know. I don't think it even says that it is, but I just interpret it of like it's got like an ice shell, and the Snorunt it has a little black body underneath its coat, and Glalie has a black body underneath the shell. But that's just the connection that I make. I don't really see the connection between the two either, I'll be honest.
I mean, it has the same teeth and eyes. Like, you can see the eyes could swell to grow to that. So, yeah, I guess.
I think Loxton making a connection between this and that squad of Pokemon, maybe. I just noticed this bit looks like Mega Glalie eyes and Masquerain. Maybe. Oh yeah, they do look a little bit like the shape of a Masquerain.
I think it's enough.
That's a neat connection.
I think it's enough to gain a pass from me.
It's getting a pass.
Yeah.
Would you tweak it to maybe link them a bit better?
Possibly,
Because I probably would.
Tweak design to match.
I feel like Glalie could do with having. I feel like Glalie's design could maybe do with having a hint of yellow on it, just to show that it's got like a bit of the Snorunt shell on it.
I mean, weirdly enough, I prefer Glalie's design to Snorunt's.
Okay, so maybe Snorunt would look more like it evolved into Glalie if its coat was white. I guess they kept it yellow because it's meant to be straw.
Yeah. But I really like Glalie. I mean, they just get a pass because they're
good.
They just look like the seal line.
They're better than Speed. They're better than the seal line.
What the fuck's going on with whatever that? With a lot of what's coming next?
Yeah. So we've got a divergent evolution here. We've got Clamperl, which can evolve into Huntail or Gorbis. Not entirely sure why. I thought this was a standalone Pokemon for a very long time.
I feel like it just probably should be.
Yeah.
Pearl Pokemon makes sense.
Yep. Based on Oyster Giant Clam, appearance in its evolved form suggested it could be based on roe, eggs of fish, and other animals. So the only connection that they seem to have in that they evolve into fish is that maybe it's an egg.
Nah, I mean, they're all cool in their own right, but I'd probably just put change and just say make them their own.
I think they all work as standalones, to be honest. They're all plain water type.
Or stick Clamperl in with Cloyster and have it as an alternate for Shelder or something.
Maybe.
And that could work. Relicanth, what the hell is this?
Relicanth is cool, but also Gorbis is terrifying because it looks like that, and then there's a Pokedex entry which literally says, despite its pretty appearance, it goes up to its prey and sucks its bodily fluids out, and you're like, oh.
It's a hydration Pokemon.
I love it. Yeah,
stay hydrated.
Relicanth is awesome. So, you remember how you can dive underwater in Gen 3?
Yes.
So, Relicanth is based off the Coelacanth, which was a fish that was thought to be extinct, but then they found it alive, deep underwater. And see, there's a reference to the Coelacanth in Monster Hunter as well. I don't know why you're reminding me to save. I've got nothing to save. So do you remember the fish, the legendary fish that glowed in the? I think it was the Rotten Vale that you fished it out of. It's also based off this.
Alright, fossil fish.
Yeah, literally a living fossil. That's why it's part rock. It's like it could be you could classify it as a fossil Pokemon, but it's already revived.
Love this. What the hell is this?
It's a fish. It's a fish. It's based off the discus fish.
Bit of a stretch.
So another species of fish appear to kiss one another, such as the kissing gourami. It's shaped like a heart symbol. Shiny colours might be a reference to having a heart of gold. Which they kiss. One of the most forgettable Pokemon.
It just seems pretty lackluster in design.
Yeah, very.
It's just kind of boring.
It's kind of lazy.
And we've got a lot of fish.
We have a lot of fish.
All right, bag on.
You can
salad
you
dressing.
can tell that the latter part of the game takes place in a lot of water, can't you?
Yeah. What's going on with the salad dressing here?
Right, this is our regional pseudo-legendary. So we've had Dragonite, and we've had Tyranitar, and now we've got Salance. Basically, it is filling that niche, except Gen 3 is special and they decided to give them 2 pseudo-legendaries. So the concept for Bagon is it is a little teeny tiny dragon that was born without wings, and they really want to fly. So much so that, almost like a lemming, they keep running and jumping off cliffs trying to fly. And they keep bashing their heads when they fall, so now their head has got a hardened little helmet on. And they keep falling so much that they end up going into a hard shell-like place, or almost like a pupa in a way. And they're very angry because of that. And then eventually they emerge from their shell, having finally grown their dragon wings and getting the flying type. So they're dragon, but they can't fly. So they're a dragon and they can fly. They happily are able to fly, and so they spend most of their time in the air out of the sheer joy of being able to fly.
It's weird because I feel like the redesign that I would want to have it go more in line with that would then break it, because that's the whole point of can't fly, wants to fly, needs to do something in order to be. You can't like have one that starts growing wings, because it wouldn't really make sense within the lore of it. So
I get why Shelgon has this grey colour, because it's the same colour as Bagon's little like cap thing, but I really wish that they'd like kept the body blue. I feel like that would just tie it into the line nicer. Yeah, like it seems to be based on a dragon or a giant tortoise and a pew, but they've literally got a sentence to explain Shelgon.
excuse me.
Salamence is based on the archetypal European dragon, also based on a salamander, most likely the Hyder salamander. This is backed by Salamence, featuring 3 prominent finlets on each side of its head, which can be interpreted as the external gills. These external gills are typical for many species of amphibians. Alternatively, it might take inspiration from the mythical Pokemon, the mythical animal of the same name, which is often confused with dragons or treated as a dragon, as evidenced by its ability to learn numerous fire-type moves via level up. Stop doing that, that's why you're sneezing.
Yeah, no, but gotta get rid of them.
So, Salamence.
Pass overall, but I would agree with you. Change Shelgon's body colour to be blue to match up with what's going on. It's a bit weird, but once I've had it explained to me as to what's going on, I'm like, okay, I can kind of get it. I suppose there's only so many ways you can do a dragon.
Okay, Mega Evolution.
I said no to Lunar Stone, you're not getting away. You look like you've gone hang gliding.
It does, doesn't
with
it?
no arms.
They're tucked in there.
No, they're not. No, they're not. Right, Beldum, Matang, and Metagross. Now,
yes,
these are metal.
So Gen 3 said yes, but what about second pseudo-legendary? Part of a health check, it's one of the meant to be food Pokemon. No, it's not. Plus you times 4. Yes, he is pulling out nose hair.
Yes. Because I have some really bad ones, and it looks like if you pull on some of them, the butler will come. Gotta get rid of them.
Right, Beldum.
Right, it's metal. Is literally living metal. How did it come to be? Is this a man-made Pokemon, or should I make it one?
I don't believe it is man-made.
Right, I feel like there's too many angular points on it that it doesn't look like raw metal.
Beldum seems to be a magnetic robot based on a dumbbell. It also resembles the limb of a Metang Metagross, which is a reference to Pokeball. So it's a little bit Magnemite-y here. So the Beldum looks a little bit like a Metang arm, which has 2, and then Metang has 2 arms, which goes to Metagross, who has 4.
Yeah, I would give it a pass, but I would just change its lore in the same way that I did for Magneton, of like, make man-made. Because I'm okay with like Team Rocket or someone being like, we need to make a really cool Pokemon, something that's really dangerous, and then they make something that is living metal of steel and psychic, bioorganic.
It's a beefy Pokemon.
Yeah, so that would make sense.
I mean, if they had put that in the story, and you go up against Team Magma or Team Aqua, and they've got one of them on their team as like the thing, that's a beefy Pokemon to take down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Instead of blood, a powerful magnetic force courses through Beldum's body. This Pokemon communicates with others by sending controlled pulses of magnetism. Beldum keeps itself floating by generating a magnetic force that repels the Earth's natural magnetism. When it sleeps, the Pokemon anchors itself to a clip via the hooks in its rear.
We move on to the final part of our session.
Mega Revolution!
No, that's from Star Wars.
fighter,
That's
isn't
an
it?
X-wing.
That's an
That's
X-wing.
literally an X-wing fighter with an angry face. Curse you, Darth Maul! You have failed me for the last time. What is that?
I just think, whenever I look at this, all I can think is that he's been switching to attack mode, because instead of his arms pointing downwards, they're now facing forwards. I'm just like, he's just rotated.
It's like when you catch a spider that's running up the wall and it goes, ah, fuck. Oh no, and it just freezes in place like, this is the bad times.
The shiny form is nice looking. Yes, the shiny Metagross does look cool. It's silver with gold. Got a couple of them in Pokemon Go.
That is nice, actually.
It's a nice, it's a nice shiny coloration.
Yeah,
It's very nice.
Right, legendaries.
Legendaries, 3 Reggies.
Right.
Literally, you can say command made. They are based off golems.
Okay.
They're based off golems. We've got a rock golem, an ice golem, and a metal golem.
That's enough for me. That's cool. They were made by something. And again, if we take it that these are the only ones, because that's how I think a legendary should be, it's the only one, then yeah, they were made a long time ago for a reason to be cool.
Roll the clip!
Beep.
They go beep beep!
Regirock.
Oh, sick Beyblade burst.
Oh, sick Beyblade! Radiate! Very nice. Really gets it.
Ice broke out of ice.
Yep. They're golems, they're mechanical, that's the noise they make.
I'd probably make them bigger. Not a lot bigger, but still bigger. Wow.
And then we're going to stop there because other things are going to appear. But yeah, so there you go.
Yeah, I'll give the Reggies a pass if they're specifically man-made.
They are, yeah, you can't really go any other than that. Regice is a squeaky noise, Regirock is a troll voice acting, and Registeel is a toilet bowl. Wow.
Latias and Latios.
Latias and Latias, I like them. I don't actually know what they're based off of, but I like them.
Well, they're based off jets.
Yeah, they're
But,
dragon
like,
jets.
why is there two? Aren't they the same?
I believe they are again gender dimorphic. One is purely female, the other is purely male. And they decided that that would be different species.
So to me, they're not legendaries then, because they could create more.
They have actually got gender. They have genders, but they still don't breed. If you put them in the daycare, nothing happens.
I don't like that. That's dumb.
Look, Latios and Latias are...
Pandas.
They're asexual, and that's okay.
No, not from the world of we need to make more things to keep living.
I don't know what to tell you. It's a kid's game, so they're never going to explicitly tell you. Even though they go as far as calling it breeding, they still even just say, oh, you leave two Pokemon together and an egg appears. So
no, as if by magic.
Yep. Also, I unironically really like Alpha Latios that's part Blaziken. It's a leak Alpha Latios when Ruby and Sapphire was still in development.
Oh, right. Okay.
It's not a canon Pokemon. It's a design that you can see very clearly has Blaziken's legs and arms.
Weird.
Very weird, but it's fun. And also, I'm pretty sure if I'd fused Latios into Blaziken in Infinite Fusion, then somebody probably would have just made that as a sprite.
Is there no other differences between Latias and Latios?
I think they have, like, statistical differences.
Okay.
I don't think they're carbon copies of one another.
I'm going to put on there remove gender then. Because to me, legendary should just be genderless.
I never knew that Spook was so forward thinking. Remove gender. See? Gender is bullshit. Yeah.
The only reason to have gender in Pokemon games is for the purpose of breeding, because it's a game about, creatures and evolution and producing more in the line. But if you're going to say, we have a male and a female one, but they don't breed, it's like, what's the fucking point then? That's like making a move that has a type that doesn't exist in the game, and then it's like, oh, well, it just doesn't hit anybody. Well, why did you put it in there then? That's the only reason that mechanic exists in the game. Shut up, you.
Don't talk back to your father like that.
Right, we're moving on. Kyogre, Groudon, and Rayquaza. They obviously get a tick.
Yes.
Because they're creatures of, like, the Leviathan.
Mega Evolution.
No.
They both got one. They look exactly the same. They actually look exactly the same. That's Latias. And then we're going to scroll up. And we're going to go, woo, it's Latios. Oh, they look exactly the same. Yeah, right. Those ones I agree are pointless. As someone who likes Latios and Latias, their Mega Evolutions are pointless. Okay, new thing, however. New thing. Kyogre and Groudon. Flagships of the series, put on the box.
Yep.
Not a Mega Evolution. It was part of the story. They gained a primal reversion. In the story, you go find the red and blue orbs. In the first instance of in the first one, it was you use them to wake them up. In the second ones, the retelling, they use these orbs to power them up to how they used to be. So it's not a new form. It's basically he basically got his bit slicing up, essentially.
Sure. Okay. Ancient power up magic.
Yeah. So they're not Mega Evolutions. They're primal reversions.
That's just the same Pokemon, it's just more powerful. Yeah. I mean, yeah, whatever. That's...
So you're okay with primal reversion. Mechanically in game, it kind of works the same as a Mega Evolution, but in the lore, it's a primal reversion. Yeah. This is what they used to always look like before Rayquaza came and bitch slapped them down. And then in the story, you go get the orb, and the evil team powers them back up, and so you have to get Rayquaza and bitch slap them back down. So, case in point. How is Rayquaza supposed to bitch slap them back down? Well, he's got a Mega Evolve, obviously.
I mean, yeah, it looks cool, but to me, it just looks like you're faffing about with the design. You had a cool, like, big sky snake thing.
Bleh, Off moth.
You had a cool, like, sky snake design thing, and then it's like someone just couldn't stop, like, just adding more and more and more. Just
it's a little over. I can see it being a little over-designed.
You know, there is the whole less is more sometimes. But yeah, I'm okay with them three because they're obviously very cool.
Yeah.
You know, a ground thing, a water thing, a sky thing. We can see the pattern that's emerging here, red, blue, green. It's all very fitting together. Jirachi and Deoxys. Right, what's Jirachi? What is, apart from being new Mew?
It's, I believe it's based off the concept of a wishing star. You make a wish upon a star, Jirachi can grant your wish. You can see that it's sort of got the 5 points of a star in its sort of silhouette.
Mm-hmm.
The little tassels on its head are based off a Japanese ceremony, Tanabata, which I guess is where where you dress up for an evening and you go and you write your wish on a bit of paper and you go hang it up on the tree and it might come true. And that is the celebration of Tanabata. So that's what the little paper bits are in his head. So he's all about wishes. He's a wishing star. The little line on his belly is a third eye because third eye equals psychic. Pokemon can't kind of get away from that. That's why they keep putting gems on things. It's a third eye. They put it on his belly because I guess he already had stuff on his head.
And that thing opens.
That opens. I think you only ever see it in the film. That little line is an eye, and it does open up, and it is slightly terrifying.
Okay,
there's the picture. Isn't that wonderful for a kids' film?
Yeah, I'm gonna put change on that because I just
don't want the eye.
No eye.
No third eye.
I don't see that. Yeah.
Otherwise, apart from the third eye, it's like it's great. I think it works great. It's psychic type, and I guess they put steel in there just to make it a bit different because you could argue that I guess stars and space and stuff.
Okay.
So
I can see the stretch for it. I just don't think it needs the eye to get across that it is psychic. I feel like you could just make its actual eyes more distinct.
Yeah, Jirachi is based on the concept of wish upon a star. Blah, 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 blah.
What about Deoxys then? The last one of Gen 3. And there's been a surprising few trash ones. Not many.
Towards the very end.
Yeah, not many. There's been a couple of changes, but I wouldn't say there's been that many trash ones, right?
Okay.
Kind of surprised.
Deoxys introduced the concept of forms.
Yes.
Which is not
vaguely aware of this.
Which is not the same as a Mega Evolution. No, it's not the same.
It's the same Pokemon.
It's the same Pokemon. It just changes its appearance. They adapted on this a little bit with gender forms. They're classed as forms as well, but there are other Pokemon in the future aside from Deoxys that also do have different forms, but they are biologically the same Pokemon in every regard, which is not quite the same as a regional variant.
Yeah, okay.
So, Deoxys
Is it DNA?
DNA Pokemon. It's called Deoxys because DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. So that's where Deoxys comes from. So literally from DNA. So it's based off the concept of finding alien DNA on a meteorite, which some speculate is how life on Earth even started.
Okay.
So it's based off finding mysterious alien DNA.
And then they messed about with it in a lab, and then this was made.
No, this is literally what it came from.
It
came from. It is literally there isn't any man made in this. This is a Deoxys, I believe, is 100% just it's from space. It's an alien, and it changes form to adapt to its situation. And in the movie about Deoxys, it literally swaps into these on the fly. Just literally goes swaps into them. In the game, you have to sort of manually do it, obviously because it's a game. But in the film, it literally changes on the fly, which is why it was so hard to fight.
First alien Pokemon? I'll give it that.
It's an alien.
Yeah,
Normal form, well-rounded. You've got attack form, obviously quite spiky, defensive form, and speed form.
I will say it's a little bit gimmicky with the whole orange and blue, because it looking like Helix, but yeah, I can let it slide.
It's just what it's based on.
It's not that. It's not. They've not gone too overboard with it.
It's got a page full of lore. Certain representation of aliens, the nucleic acid double helix, loosely based on viruses and mutation, strongly resembles the shape of a chromosome, DNA, makes sense to its ability to duplicate just like a chromosome does during cell division. Deoxyribonucleic acid molecule, this is just telling us about DNA. Oh yeah, the normal form of Deoxys arms can sometimes be represented by overlapping helix strands, which represent the double helix, but they can sometimes come together and actually form arms. Hence the rapid adaptation and mutation. It can actually make arms out of the little tentacle bits. Is there a picture of it? Oh, there's a picture there. It happens in the film. It gets blasted off by Rayquaza and rapidly comes out. It's like something out of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, Piccolo. Okay, well, that's it. I think there was
there's his hand.
13. Oh, wow.
There's his hand. So you can wrap them together and turn it into a hand. Cool Pokemon.
I think there were 13 that I trashed.
Really?
Not too many, actually. So, yeah, I guess I was more fond of Gen 3 than I remember.
Yeah, you just forgot a lot of it, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't. I think Gen 3 was the first one that I didn't complete. I have, I definitely went through the Elite Four several times.
It's Frieza.
It's Frieza. It's Lord Voldemort.
Yeah. Just say though, like when Gen 3 is like still a new thing and they're releasing the new movies, you see a poster that has that on it and you've never seen it before, and you're like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah,
what is that? What is that? That is terrifying.
That looks like a man who's got candy in his truck for you.
No, don't say that. But yeah, it's like when you first see it in the film and you like have no idea what it is, and it's a legendary from outer space and nobody knows what it is, and it's beating the crap out of everybody. It's slightly scary. You're like, what the heck is happening? What is happening?
That is the kind of thing where I'd want them to just throw Mewtwo at it. Because, Mewtwo's just the cool boy.
That's what it means by the rapid duplication. It makes copies of itself. But yeah, because it was Gen 3 and they were trying to hype up Gen 3, they have, as I said, they have Rayquaza fight it. Because Rayquaza is actually somewhat the guardian of the planet. It's kind of what it does. It lives up in the upper atmosphere and it circles the Earth and it like bats away meteorites just because it does. It's one of those things in Pokemon of like, it's the guardian, it's just what it does. Which is why when, Kyogre and Groudon start fighting and it looks like it's going to destroy the world, Rayquaza's like, oi, stop that. Rayquaza looks after the planet. And so when Deoxys appears, it's like, nope, not allowed. Stop that. But yeah, I was trying to find a screenshot. Yeah, look. In the manga, Deoxys is brutal. The manga is a lot more dark when it comes to Pokemon being injured. And I know for a fact, there doesn't appear to be a picture here, that Mewtwo does fight Deoxys in the manga. and it kind of doesn't go well, actually. I don't think Mewtwo comes off very well from that fight. But I haven't read that chapter, so I don't know what happens.
No. But to me, it's just because it's like the OG of like the ultimate sort of hubris of like man-made Pokemon, Mewtwo using like the DNA of the first ever Pokemon that was like the most powerful. I feel like Mewtwo should just automatically just be the strongest, and that's kind of the point. Because you see him in the movie, and it's like, anything that charges at it, and he just raises his hand. It's like, I can stop anything. So then when it's like you've got Deoxys, and it's like, oh well, Deoxys can win. It's like, yeah, but how? We've already seen that Mewtwo just raises his hand and just says no.
I think Deoxys wins by kind of playing dirty. Actually, I've already forgotten how to spell it, even though it's right. Deoxys. This is Mewtwo. I think it's quite a manga. It's quite a famous like picture of the panel of what happens. Yeah, playing dirty. Stabs him from behind. That is a canon panel from the Pokemon manga. It's Mewtwo, so I don't think Mewtwo dies. I think Mewtwo does kind of like use recover and heal up. I've not read this chapter of the manga.
No,
I don't know what happens.
Yeah, but I just don't agree with it because it's like it's that whole power creep thing of like they made Mewtwo and it's like he's literally stronger than any of the best Pokemon trainer Pokemon in the world. He's that fucking good. And then it's like, and then this thing comes in from space, and it's like, oh well, he's just faster and stronger and better, and it's like, cool. Yeah, so
I don't think
humanity gets destroyed. Then it's like, well, no, because Rayquaza beats him. It's like, cool, but Mewtwo's supposed to be that strong. That's the. I will say that
Rayquaza doesn't necessarily beat Deoxys in the film. I believe what happens in the film is that Deoxys basically gets pacified because basically. Spoilers for like a Pokemon movie, I guess. The Deoxys in the film that goes crazy is actually looking for another Deoxys, and it's trying to find its partner basically, and yeah, because it starts to get very angry and upset because it can't find its friend. It starts attacking everybody on the planet, which is when Rayquaza then steps in and is like, "You're disrupting my planet," and it kind of only calms down when the other Deoxys comes back, and then they leave together.
Yeah,
so it's like it doesn't quite win. But it's a stalemate.
I'm going to make a change then. I actually think it would be cooler if Deoxys was, again, another attempt at making a Pokemon.
Oh,
I think it'd be cooler if they got, like, meteorite, like, DNA from a meteorite, and then they tried to mix it with Mewtwo's DNA and thus made Deoxys, and therefore you can sort of say, canonically of, like, yeah, it is kind of stronger than Mewtwo because they made this one adaptive, whereas Mewtwo isn't. It was meant to be a copy of Mew.
I like this panel here where it shows like literally a split second of the two of them fighting, and Deoxys is literally changing forms.
Yeah.
Like literally his hand comes round and he changes forms 4 times before he actually hits Mewtwo. He goes normal, speed, defense, attack before he finally connects.
Yeah. So make. Man-made.
You want Deoxys to be man-made.
Space, DNA, and Mewtwo. I just think that would be like the ultimate thing of like we tried with Mewtwo and we were successful. We just couldn't control it. Now we've got a new project that Giovanni wants us to work on. We've got space DNA, and we're gonna use what bits that we have left over from the whatever remnants were left in the lab or whatever sort of backup files were left from the server, and we're gonna try again. And then they end up making this fucking abomination, and then it's like, cool, well now everything's got to get together because we've got a new threat. I think that just sounds cooler to me rather than space thing from space looking to shag, and then Rayquaza says no, don't do that, and then it goes away. It's a bit lackluster for me.
I need to read the manga and see what they do with it.
Gotta be honest, Pokemon not the best at telling stories.
No, it's not.
They kind of had one story from like 1997.
The manga is good at stories.
And they've used the same story since.
The manga is fantastic. If anybody wants an actual bit of like a story to do with Pokemon, then the manga is just great because it does actually have like interesting plot and plot twists and interesting fights.
I linked a bunch to Spook. To be fair, Spook, this is an enemy which is an antagonist for a literal guardian of the planet. Did stream die, or is it just me? This would make Mewtwo as the jumping off point for power, meaning it's a Pokemon that had years of getting better at fighting versus its literal more powerful replacement. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like when you introduce that, like you've got Rayquaza and Kyogre and whatnot, and you go, yeah, these are strong, powerful Pokemon and whatnot. But when you just introduce something new and you go, this is the best, it's harder to latch onto.
It's just
this
power,
is the best.
It's
it
just
needs build
power.
up.
It's power creep, which like every game franchise does ever. Of like the new thing has to be stronger than the old thing, and it's like, but does it really?
But it's okay when it's from an enemy point of view, because it's like you've got the build up of the protagonist, and it's like new scary thing comes in. You go, oh fuck, it's new and it's scary, and I got to fight it. But imagine if you go back to like the movie of Pokemon 2000, which I know is a long way back, but it's like one of the few ones I know. If there was none of the build-up at the start to Lugia being something in the sea, if it was just like birds, collector, you fighting stuff, and then Lugia appeared and just saved everything, you'd be like, who the fuck's this?
Yeah.
You know, like if you don't put any build-up into the protagonist, you can't get behind why they're so powerful. You need to see them become powerful. Mm-hmm. It's okay for an enemy. When you see an enemy, if they just drop them in, they're a bit powerful. It's not the best, but you can get behind it. But
so you know,
because better ones like Freezer and stuff from Dragon Ball Z and Cell, you see them become powerful and you get attached to them.
So I was kind of paraphrasing, vaguely recollecting, because it's been a while since I've seen it. But when I say that like Rayquaza came and fights it, that screenshot there of it being blasted, I believe that happens at the start of the film, and then Rayquaza like literally like point blank, I think, hyper beams it, and its whole body disintegrates, and that little crystal in its chest is all that's left. And Rayquaza, because Rayquaza hasn't seen Deoxys before, is just like, there's no body left. It's dead.
It's literally Cell.
It's Cell, yeah. So that little crystal is left. So Rayquaza beats the Deoxys and is like, cool, I've won, planet's safe, and he goes back about his duty. The crystal falls down to Earth. He eventually regenerates and causes more havoc, but when Rayquaza comes to fight him again, he's like, I fought you before and now I know you better. So then the second fight is not as good. I think is how it goes. There's a little bit of build up to it.
A little bit, but even then it's like
it's a Pokemon movie at the end of the day.
Rayquaza using a Hyper Beam, like, I've adapted. Like, I don't think you can adapt a Hyper Beam. It's a fucking Hyper Beam. Yeah. If he hits you with it, it's still a Hyper Beam. You can't be like, well, he hit me with it once before, so now I've got a better defense to it. Like, this isn't World of Warcraft of like, now I've got magical level up resistance to it because you hit me with it. But it's still a fucking Hyper Beam. That's the whole point. It's Hyper Beam. Yeah. You don't get hit by it. That's how you avoid it, is you do not get hit by it.
I think, yeah.
So, I prefer mine and Das's little, let's bring Mewtwo and Deoxys.
This is another reason why I'm like, you're not going to like Gen 4.
No, I don't think I'm going to like Gen 4.
Spook is not going to like Gen 4. Because, unsurprisingly, Gen 4 comes out and they're like, time to raise the bar again.
I always appreciate enemies that appear that aren't just strong, they're also unique. I.e. Cell, he literally feeds off people and becomes way stronger. Enemies that develop or have a mechanic that's clever, I appreciate more than just stronger. Yeah. I think that's why a lot of people latched onto Cell, even though the original creator of Dragon Ball didn't like Cell.
Wild.
Yeah. That's why Cell goes through 2 changes, because he didn't like the fact that he didn't look human.
Oh.
So he starts off as a bug, and then he says, I want him to be redesigned. So they were like, okay, well, he absorbs Android 17 and he becomes more human. He says, no, he still doesn't look human enough. I don't like him. So then he becomes the latest one. But Cell is arguably people's favourite. Because he's
it has that
cool.
growth. It has
the growth. You
yeah.
follow him through and he's very motivated. He's a good enemy. Very good enemy.
Yeah. Deoxys is going, I'm going way fucking faster than you now because I know that move and I'm so fucking dodging that.
But again, it's like, is Deoxys the fastest Pokemon in the Pokemon universe?
I don't think it is anymore, but for a while it was in its speed form.
In its speed form.
When it had adapted to speed, I think it was the fastest for a brief window of time. Can I bring up the list?
But then you just start getting fucky with adding in psychic powers of like, if you have all the speed in the world, how does psychic work with that?
Stats.
Wow, there's a lot of subcategories.
Yeah, Pokemon whose speed stat is greater than 100. That's not help. I know that this page exists because I've looked at it in the 4. There is a page which literally has them like sorted by stat, by base stat totals. That's not Bulbapedia.
Angie.
Pokemon. This is not up to date. It was Deoxys speed form with a base speed of 180. Ninjask was the second one with 160, which is basically what happens when you min-max, because if you so much as breathe on Ninjask, it will fall over. Like, what is that defense? Then you've got regular Deoxys, attack Deoxys, and then you get Mega Alakazam, a bunch of Mega Evolutions. Accelergore, I mean, it's got Accelerate in the name. Electrode, and then you finally get to Mewtwo, one of Mewtwo's Mega Evolutions. Mega Jolteon, Aerodactyl, and Mewtwo. So Jolteon, Mega, and Aerodactyl and Mewtwo are the same. So Mewtwo's got 130. Deoxys had 180 in speed form, 150.
See, I think that could be a fun fight between Deoxys and Mewtwo then, because you can say, like, oh yeah, he's fastest, but only when he's in his speed form. So it's like he moves like mega fast, so it's like he can outrun Mewtwo's psychic powers, but then Mewtwo will obviously learn because he is smart, and then he'll crash into some psychic force field because he doesn't have a lot of health in this form, so that knocks him for 6, and then Mewtwo just blasts the fuck out of him, and now he's like, oh, now I've got to go to my defensive form so I can
Mewtwo's base stat total is 394 and Deoxys is 438, so he does have a higher base stat total, which I think again is just power creep. That's just power creep. If we're just going to ignore the lore, that's just power creep.
But that would have again been a good one for Mew to come back in, or for by this stage you've got the legendary dogs that could come in and do something, or Ho-Oh and Lugia, so you can have like Mewtwo and Lugia doing stuff, and then obviously the new boys on the block of Rayquaza.
It's one of the reasons I love the Hooper film, which I have only watched once, so again, I only have a vague memory of it, but I did really enjoy it because they get a bunch of the other legendaries in it, and I was like, yeah, this is a Pokemon film. You're too slow.
Bedtime.
It's bedtime. We actually overran by half an hour.
Oh, 11:30.
There's a Genesect film with Mewtwo in it. Yep, because Genesect is another Pokemon where they literally are, this is a man-made thing, so they pit it against the other man-made thing. I haven't seen that film either.
I also just like the idea of Mewtwo being the strongest because he's the oldest one, and that always sort of gives the vibe to me of like, research technology back in the days had less limitations on like health and safety and what is ethically okay to do. Whereas the more modern you get, you can imagine that there's more sort of fail safes and stuff put in of like, okay, we're not going to like there's big discussions on like stem cell research at the moment, even though we've seen how good it can be. Whereas if you go back far enough, it's like back then it was just like, this is the result we want. Do what you got to do. So the idea that Mewtwo then comes into existence from that time period, and it's like, well, why can't we make stuff that's that good nowadays? It's like, because ethics and morals.
But I suppose you could also argue that because it's older, that's also partly why, even though they said it's like it's made from all of the Pokemon, it's one of those things where I personally wouldn't make this argument, but I'm sure some people probably would, that because it's older and it's from the Kanto region, it's like, yeah, it is made of all the Pokemon from Kanto. Like it isn't actually all of the Pokemon.
Mewtwo was made to replicate Mew.
Yeah.
So that was their goal of like, Mew was what deemed to be the most powerful ones. It's like, we're just going to try and copy that with what DNA we've managed to scrape from Mew.
It's imperfect DNA, but it's some of it.
Yeah. So that's why, and then they tried to fill it in with like, what are the powerful Pokemon that we know of, and there's still powerful Pokemon.
Again, I find this very interesting. In the manga, the lore is that they fill it in with human DNA.
Sense.
That's actually what they fill it in with. They couldn't get it to make a stable body.
Very Halo.
Yeah, they couldn't get a stable body, and the lead scientist used cells from his own body, and in doing so, links himself to Mewtwo, and that's a whole plot going through the manga. Manga's good. Read the Pokemon manga. So yeah, in the manga, Mewtwo has human DNA.
I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
That to me is what makes it like a viable contender for like the most powerful Pokemon, because it's like, well, it's Pokemon and it's human, so it's kind of got the best of both worlds. It's got the intelligence and the power. Yeah, and it also is a nice way of being like, eventually he does learn empathy, because humans can be empathetic, but obviously he had a very, very traumatic experience, so eventually he did learn empathy. That's, everyone. Everybody, that's our Pokemon lore. Genesect is what happens when you rip the Cypher's wings off and give it a gun. It's a Kabutops, if you ask me, but we'll get to that eventually. It's a Bionicle. Scizor is closer. I think Kabutops is closer, especially because it's like, it literally says ancient Pokemon, and I'm like, Kabutops is right there. Right. Anyway, that was a fun little stream that we had tonight in the Just Chatting category, which I think was the correct category.
I even said to Spook that I anticipated that I wouldn't get too much done because I would be very invested in talking about this, and I was correct. I did have an art file open up this evening, and I did not touch it very much, so it's probably a good thing that we were talking about this instead. But it was a nice little bit of variety, I think, and everybody always seems to enjoy the old man yelling at clouds.
Hello.
Yay! Right. So, yeah, I think we're just going to go to bed. I just opened up Twitch and I was like, I don't want to raid. Gen 4 Spook will get angry. Spook's going to get so mad at Gen 4. Gen 4 is my least favourite. Gen 4 is my least favourite. You're going to hate Gen 4 so much.
I feel like Kells needs to be here to cry when we do this.
Yeah, it's her favourite gen because it was her first gen. Maybe we'll have to do it as like a special one-off stream of like, you're available and Curls is available. Which, to be fair, is maybe more likely to happen. I don't know, because it's...
Old man shouts at child.
Oh my goodness. Can we get an emote of Spook doing the old man yell at cloud, please? I don't know if I could fit all that detail into an emote, but maybe we could make it a Discord sticker. Cleavor, Scyther, Genesect are all the same family. I could totally agree with that. Evolutionary-wise, I could view Kabutops as a predecessor to Scyther.
Yeah, they're all owned by Lego. Bionicle.
Bionicle. Good night, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow for more Arson and potentially Dragon Age. Maybe finishing Dragon Age? Are we going to get a third game finish in the space of a week? I don't know. You'll have to tune in and find out.
Ooh, baby, a triple.
A triple? Bye.